As you see by the title of the video, we're here with something y'all might want to listen to. So I want to start by giving all honor and praise to the Most High Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah. That is the Most High's name, Yahweh, in the name of his son, our Messiah, Yahweh Shah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right. So, man, why are we here 2.5 years later? Well, to be quite frank, I wanted to say something 2.5 years ago, but we decided not to say anything, right? We figured because of the tension that was going on with the camps and the stuff that was being said over the internet when we left, that if we just don't say nothing, the tensions would die down and everything would be all good. We also saw the brother in person last year. We thought we'd be able to squash it. And we'll talk about that today too, but that didn't happen. So as of recently, brothers are still talking about us, right? Brothers are still trying to push narratives and push their side of the story. So since my side's been quiet for the last 2.5 years and we haven't got to say anything, and brothers are still talking, we just felt the need to go ahead and get it off our chest now. Mainly me, get it off my chest now, right? Before Passover, and just let everybody know what our side of the story is and why so many prominent brothers left SOT at one time, right? So before we get started, I want to start by saying this is not going to be a bash our all campaign or a bash SOT campaign or some type of expose. That's not what this is. Yeah. Except me exposing why my side, left, why we're the Anointed House of Saints now. You know what I'm saying? And not SOT, the Sons of Thunder Israelites. So if anybody being simple, it's just water. Okay. So yeah. Let's get it. So, as I said, there's been things that have been said about us, right? Quite frequently since we left, even as early as a week, right? A week after we left. This particular thing is from a month ago. Instead of going back to show you guys all the different things that's out there, just going to start by showing you guys some recent stuff, and then we're going to go from there. But this is the reason why we decided, one of the reasons why we decided to go ahead and say something, right? Because as we know from the book of Proverbs, a good name is better than riches, right? And wanted to make sure that our name and my name stays good in Israel, as opposed to just letting certain narratives be pushed out there and spun for people that know the situation and know what he's talking about when he's being subliminal, like you see in this clip, or like when he's being direct, like you'll see in the next one. So check this out. Oh, let me rewind it just a little bit. Bye.
Stand in their defense as the honorable man that they've been towards me. I don't know what they did with you. I don't know how they interact with you. Fair. I don't know what conversations y'all had. But I don't backbite and murmur. I don't take slick shot. I don't take slick shot either.
So, again, this is not going to be a bash our all campaign or anything like that, right? But what this is going to be is us or me telling our side of the story, right? Letting you guys know why we left. What he's about to do is explain why we left from his point of view, right? And it starts with this, okay? So he says he doesn't backbite, he doesn't murmur, right? The issue is me and Joel was cool for a while. You feel what I'm saying? So we know a lot of the same people. And the Bible says that when a certain situation happens, when you find out about it, right? Instead of just passing judgment on it, you're supposed to examine the matter, right? Try to figure out the truth. You feel? So if it's a situation like what's going on with me and y'all all, you'd have to listen to both sides of the story. So y'all all has been frequently sharing his side. And because of that, brothers have hit me up when he shared his side to basically get my side of the story that he's been telling. So this is one of those situations where a brother actually hit me up to ask me to clarify certain things that was being said after we left to, I guess, try to figure out how he should judge the matter, how he should move and stuff like that. And he ended up finding out certain information wasn't true that he was being told. So he told me what he was being told. And I saved the evidence, right? And this is from very early on, right after we left and had the council, literally. So check this out. Says, I remember I asked him about the situation with the sister Ney Yasharallah. he said there wasn't a situation and they were good, but that wasn't what she was saying. And if you guys been in the truth long enough and you remember the Nate situation, where y'all were all, you remember that is basically the catalyst for what, caused us to no longer be in HOI anymore, right? So this was a big thing. It got talked about on FOP, and she said some pretty disparaging things about the brother, right? So that was that. And so I'm just gonna leave that there. He said that they was all good. So then he said y'all had a council and Judah apologized to him because he saw he was wrong or something like that. Now, this council that the brother's talking about is very important because this is a council that people not involved in the council weren't supposed to know about. It was a council that we had after we left to settle personal grievances with each other, like brothers from my side, the Anointed House of Saints, and brothers from the other side, right? The Sons of Thunder. So it was a personal call, and the elders instructed us not to say anything unless the other side is caught saying things. And as you see, I caught the other side very early saying things, which then made us not have to honor the rules of being quiet. Yet and still, we haven't made a public statement for the last 2.5 years. While, as you're about to see, the other side has been trying their best to say whatever they can say any way they can say because we've been quiet. So today we're going to correct it. This part where he said that Judah apologized to him, that was a lie. And to prove it was a lie, there's going to be a situation that he's going to talk about at the Fringe Dub Fest, right? Where there could be witnesses brought up later that can testify to the fact that he tried to have Judah apologize at the Fringe Fest, which is after this conversation with his brother. So if Judah already apologized, why would you then try to make him apologize at the Fringe Fest? Doesn't make any sense. So reading on, it says, this was around the time he called me to ask if I knew one of his wives, the light-skinned sister that used to be with y'all camp. Shania, I think her name is. He hit me pressing, saying, I guess you told Gorilla and Gorilla told him I was trying to get at the sister, right? Which me and the brother spoke, and that ain't exactly what I told Gorilla, but Gorilla already let you guys know in his rebuke video, the John 1 doctrine that SOT put out, that, he jumped on Joel's side, basically, for lack of better words, when the split happened, right? And he said, and I quote, he didn't like the way me, Kano, and Aharon moved, right? So today we're going to talk about that as well, right? So moving on. I told him from my understanding at the time, she was put away and wasn't being dealt with. And she said, leadership said that she was free from that marriage. And I want to make it clear, leadership did tell her she was free from that marriage, but it wasn't leadership of SOT. It wasn't none of us, right? It was a leader very close to y'all all that gave her permission to leave, allegedly, right? So I'll leave that there. Then he talking about how you betrayed him and you were one of his closest friends, his right hand, and you going around slandering his name and some other stuff, right? So if he's going around saying this and I'm not talking to nobody, would I be the one slandering or would he be the one slandering, right? That's a question you should ask yourself, especially the brothers that, took sides and said something publicly about it, right? Because last I checked, this would be tailbearing and backbiting, the same thing you accused me for, brother, right? So this is what he said he don't do, right? Just to show that to y'all. All right. But anyway, let's get back to the video. Okay. Wait.
Y'all had. But I don't backbite and murmur. I don't take slick shot. I don't take slick shot either. I'm going to call you.
As I said, I did it one better. I actually saw him in person.
Text you. So it's come to my attention that brothers want it to be one way. Y'all will all move like this, but I can jump in and out of traffic. And I'm me, so I know him. He not gonna say nothing to me. And then spirits start, playing the games that they play.
And I want to make something clear too, right? In the truth, we always talk about how spirits jump on brothers, right? But the spirits be jumping on brothers that ain't got their spirit right? That can't control their spirit. You feel me? So it's crazy how the brother's literally telling you guys that whenever he thinking about us and talking about the situation about us leaving, spirits is jumping on him. Listen to the things that the spirits be telling him, brother.
And brothers say, y'all, you might need to step on niggas and show them.
Oh, damn. He didn't change the Kendrick lyrics now? Step on niggas and show them? What, Kendrick from Chicago now? He doing drills? That's crazy. I didn't even think the lyrics would like that. I thought it was something else.
You might need to pop out and show them.
Oh, there it is.
That they can't play with you like that.
Mm.
And if they want to...
Can't play with you like that. Why? I ain't know we was playing, bro. This wasn't a game. Like, what you mean? You talking like we at war? Like it's something going on. We need to tussle or something. You know what I mean? Thought we was brothers, right? Brotherhood is the final chamber, right? What's going on?
To make it like that, it could be that way.
Oh,
and the other brothers say, "Y'all, your brand is brotherhood is the final chamber."
So it's a brand. It's not what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to be. Y'all see that, right? It's two sides. Feel me? Some brothers come into the truth and they actually change, and they deal differently, right? Some brothers make it a brand to seem like they have dealt differently, but they really be dealing a different way, as you gonna see today, right?
Long suffering and patience. Niggas lied on your name, told that lie. Brothers went with him. You, camp leader, you came down off that, let brothers from another camp judge it. They said you ain't do that, and nobody says nothing.
So look, what he's talking about here and alleging is the council, right? There was a council that we had, as I said, a personal council. We let brothers from elders from another camp judge it, that he agreed should judge it, right? So that's what happened. And we'll just go ahead and get this out the way right now, right? So within this council, there was a lot of allegations that were thrown out there, right? One of the things that we were actually, alleging that Joel was doing, right, and accusing him of, was mismanagement of camp funds. If we look at the minutes from the council, right, or at least the minutes for our argument, you see mismanagement of camp funds. So you see, I'm not lying, right? One of the situations that we had to talk about was the lack of transparency, right? One of the situations we had to talk about was a camp camera situation. One of the situations we had to talk about was a personal business, right? Camp business, Airbnb. And another business that we had to talk about was my particular allegation of him possibly using camp money to go on a trip to Cancun, right? So what he's talking about, the lie that brothers told and brothers went with him, right? What he's trying to tell you guys is that I told the lie, right? And that lie that I told caused the brothers to leave the camp, right? They believed the lie. And what he wants everybody to believe by pushing this 150 million times in every damn video on Friday and stuff is that I pushed the lie, right? I raised a false report. Brothers believed the false report, and then they left. So we should be judged accordingly, right? That's what he wants you guys to believe. The problem is there was a lie told that caused the brothers to leave. It's just I wasn't the one that told the lie. He was the one that told the lie. And it's on record. That's what we're going to go over today, right? Now, to be clear, there was an allegation that I made on this particular personal counsel that I was not able to prove, right? And that allegation I had to apologize for, which was the allegation for the Cancun thing. And the reason I wasn't able to prove that was because he was able to show receipt that he didn't pay for it, that it was his wife, right? The main reason for this allegation in the first place was because it was a known fact by people in the camp, especially the leadership, that the money for the Sons of Thunder Israelites had been in the control solely of Yahweh all. The only person that had access to the account was Yahweh all. The only person that could see how much is in it at any time or spend it at any time was Yahweh all. The reason being was because it was Yahweh all's personal bank account. Just to prove that before we go on, if you look here between the dots where it says must discuss, right? We'll move it over for you guys. Must discuss, right? I'm just going to move it so y'all can see and read it. You could pause it. I'm going to read it for you. Must discuss finances and creating a business account so that Yahweh all doesn't get taxed for camp money, right? The only reason he would be the only one getting taxed for camp money is because he's the only person that has access to the account. And I'll explain more about why he would get taxed in a minute, because this account became a business account, but not a business account for, the business of the Sons of Thunder Israelites, but a business account for GDM, which is his personal business by himself, right? To prove that, you can look at this, right? This is a PayPal from a brother. As you see, it's the PayPal with the Gmail of the Sons of Thunder Israelites, right? At gmail.com. This is, or was, the official Gmail of the Sons of Thunder Israelites, the official email while we were in the camp, okay? As you see, it's got GDM and it's got Joel Neely on it, right? Which is Joel's name. If you just look at a couple of the transactions, you see one of them says Camp Camera, which, as I told you, was one of the things that we were talking about. So that's the situation in particular that we're going to talk about today. So keep that in mind. But as you see, it clearly says GDM and Joel Neely, and it changes, right? Sometime in July from Joel Neely to GDM, right? This is all 2022. So, which is the year that we left, right? So this is all important to keep in mind, that the funds are in his account. They're only in his name, right? He's the only person that has access to them. To further prove that, right, this is an SOT Cashapp screenshot, right? This screenshot in particular is a newer SOT screenshot, Cashapp, right? It's a screenshot of Cashapp. So but this is a newer SOT Cashapp. It's SOT Arms. And as you see, it was started in September of 2024, which is about 2 years after we left, right? So there's another one that everybody sends their accounts to. Everybody that's in my current camp, when they were sending it, it was going to this, which I can show you the receipts of that. But since there's been one person talking about everybody lately, right, I went ahead and got his screenshots. So this is actually Ariala's, right? And as you see, even somebody outside of our camp was sending money since April 2018, which is why we were still in HOI Atlanta, by the way, before we started SOT. And it was going to Mr. Ben Famous, which is Joel, right? This was the official Cash App at the time of us being in the camp for the Sons of Thunder Israelites, right? They also had the SOT Israelites at Cash App. So there's two Cash Apps for the Sons of Thunder that we will be sending things to, right? One of which would be Mr. Ben Famous. Another one would be SOT Israelites. Okay. So both of which go to the same bank account, which would be his, right? There's no SOT organization. There's no SOT organizational bank account. There's only Joel Neely, right? Or Mr. Ben Famous or GDM, which is all the same person and the same thing, the same bank account. Okay. So at least at this time. All right. Which is why he's having to talk about paying taxes on it. Because when a certain amount of money comes into a business account, right, it puts you in a different tax bracket, especially by how frequently the money's coming in, the amount of it coming in, all that type of stuff, right? So that's something, if a brother's trying to keep his expenses a certain level and all that type of stuff, especially because he doesn't have a job at the time, right? He's not trying to get audited by the IRS or anything like that, because he doesn't want them trying to figure out how you ain't got no job, but this amount of money still coming in and stuff like that to your business account. You ain't really showing that you're doing any freelance work for real. So he's telling us all this stuff on the camp call, which I'll explain too. And, we end up talking about it, which is why it's on the minutes, right? And just so you guys can see, just so y'all can see, this isn't something I made up. These minutes they start in January of 2022. Okay. So just so y'all can see, that's the same minutes, right? 2022. Oh, hold up. Wow. There it is. Okay. So y'all can see it's the same. All right. You got the must discuss. Then you got the 2022. All right. So there we go. Just so y'all can see that that's all one, right? So this is just a little bit of proof. We got a whole lot more, but for the sake of time, this is just a little bit of proof to show that the accounts are all the same, right? So now that we see that, it's all one account and everything that we're talking about here that led to this, and that the lie, what you're gonna see today is that the lie that was told that caused brothers to leave was a lie that involved his mismanagement of the camp funds, right? Based off questions that soldiers asked. You feel me? So, yeah, let's get into it now. Let's finish what he's saying.
And nobody says nothing? You want it to be one way. Then you want to see me.
Oh, and when it came to the whole, you know, me making that the allegation, right, that I was not able to prove. As I said before, I had to apologize for that allegation, right? Now, this particular allegation, as I said, was the one about me saying that he took camp money to go to Cancun. As you see, the main reason I didn't win that allegation wasn't because, you know, it was just wrong for me to think, right? It was because he was able to prove that he's not the one that paid for it. Had it come out that he did pay for it, I'm sure certain other questions would have been asked that weren't asked for the reason that he showed that his wife is the one that paid for it, right? Had he been the one that paid for it, it would have been reasonable to ask, well, did you pay for it using the money that's coming out of the camp fund, which is also your bank account or tied to your bank account, for lack of better words, right? So that would have been not unreasonable to think, seeing what you just saw, right? Knowing what we know and not having full access to the account. But let's make it clear, that was never an allegation that made it to the ears of the camp. There's nobody in my camp that heard me make that allegation other than the leadership that was on that council, right? So that's the first thing to correct. Second thing to correct, as I said, I apologized for that. I apologized. And when you go into the book of Luke, chapter 17, verse 3, it reads, take heed to yourselves. If thy brother trespass against thee, rebuke him. And if he repent, forgive him, right? If he repent, forgive him. It's on the record. It's recorded because this council is recorded, right? I repented. I gave an apology for that particular statement, for that particular allegation, right? That I was not able to prove. Why is the brother still bringing it up? Why is he lying and trying to push the narrative that that is the reason brothers left the camp? And why aren't brothers that know, brothers that were in leadership positions in other camps that got on that council and heard certain allegations that we brought up, why aren't they saying anything about that? You know what I'm saying? Those are questions that I asked that also caused me to want to make this video, right? So it also says, reading on, verse 4, and if he trespass against thee 7 times in a day, and 7 times in a day turn against thee, saying, I repent, thou shalt forgive him. So he has to forgive me because I, I apologized. I repented. This is red letter. This is Hamashiach Yahushua, our Messiah speaking. The one that he said ain't incarnate. Never mind. But yeah, so that's that, right? Something else that I want to bring up regarding this situation. Since we're talking about the council briefly, there was an instance where he was supposed to apologize to me that he did not apologize for. It's on record, right? And for the sake of time, I'm not going to play the recording, right? I'm also not going to play the recording because it was a personal counsel, and I'm not going to put the personal information out there, even though brothers are trying to talk about it in the public, right? Even though they weren't supposed to, and they're going to admit that. So, but as we see, they're talking, backbiting and tail bearing and stuff behind people's back, particularly about the council, which is crazy. So, yeah, but brothers were supposed to talk about it, and they did, and now we're here. So, but as I said, he was supposed to, apologize to me. He didn't do it for a situation that involved my parents that we would talk about. So I also want to put that on the table, right? I've forgiven the brother. I tried to go and talk to him, and he didn't even want to talk back. And at the time, actually owed me an apology. So let's continue.
Out and about like it's all good.
He about to explain it. Check it out.
You want it to be one way. Then you want to see me out and about like it's all good. Then you back on the internet, yipper, right? Because the same time you see me outside, I was on the stage talking about brotherhood. And if you know, you know. Because that's all.
So let me break it down to you, right? So that y'all know. Last year, Fringe Up Fest. Shout out to Monologue, right? I go. I ain't never win. But I go this time. So what ends up happening is Aharon, Judah, Nadiab from my camp, they're there. They get there way before I do, right? Apparently Joel goes that year too. I don't know if he went on the other years because I don't go. I don't go to these type of events, right? I rock with the Israelite community. I love y'all, but I don't like the way some of y'all move. So I don't be around the community all the time like that. I stay to myself. I'm pretty private, all that type of stuff, right? So anyway, um, that's that, right? I go to the Fringe Up Fest, and on my way there, they telling me, yo, he's here, right? He done dapped us up, he seemed cool. You should pull up and try to squash this thing with him. So I'm pulling up, right? Kanoa's gonna come too, but he ended up not being able to make it. So I go, I get there, I see the brothers, dap them up, meet them and stuff like that. And they convinced me, let's go over there and talk to the brothers. So I get me a water bottle, start walking over there with them. Aharon, Nadiyab, Judah, they get their towels and they water and stuff, they beers, whatever. And they go walk over there, right? So we chilling, we talking to a bunch of people because we on the other side. It's a big old yard, if you remember the setting, if you was there, right? There's a big old stadium in the middle. If you're looking at the stadium, we on the left side, and Joel and them are directly on the right side across from us, right? So we could see each other from across the way. And as he said, he just got off stage. I wasn't there when he was on stage. So I don't find out about this until afterwards, right? When brothers are telling me the context of what happened. So like brothers from other camps that saw what went down. You feel me? So yeah, like we at Fringe Fest, we see brothers there, we walking around making our rounds on the way over to Joel. Just to give you who's there, I saw a monologue on my way over there. Brothers that left SOT, Hezekiah, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to them. Shout out to that brother. The Iron Horn of Zion, right? Them brothers was out there. You know what I'm saying? Israel, Big Smooth, Malak and them, Ken, right? So we see them brothers. Salt, Ikarab and them brothers, right? Brothers that was in the camp with us that left, right? Before we left. And then Sakari was up there before the split. So Gorilla Hebrew was over there. Deacon was talking to Chief Ephraim. Chief Ephraim was right directly on the side of where Joel and him was, and me and him spoke afterwards, which I'll show you. And yeah, Hassad had just if I'm not mistaken, that's when the situation with him and Sakari happened. So he was no longer in Sakari at the time, but the public I don't think knew it yet. So he was kind of by himself, but he was still in the vicinity of everything, right? And so we dap all of them up, right? Walk over there to him, and when he sees me, he looks up at the sky like, damn, the Most High, like, yo, really? You made him come over here right now? Like, really? Like after I just did this? So that happens, right? And he looks at me, and if you know Joel, he smiles with his mouth open, right? Smiles and shows his teeth. This time he smiled gave me a little closed mouth, head cocked to the side, stuck his hand out, right? And at that point, gives me a little dap, right? Fake little holy kiss, and then immediately turns around and starts whispering to Kahari. You feel me? Then Kahari comes over and asks, "Hey, why y'all ain't apologize? What happened with that council?" And brothers are like, "What?" Because Kahari is somebody that wasn't even supposed to be on the council, right? He wasn't involved in anything that happened. He wasn't even in leadership at the time of us leaving. So he wasn't even supposed to be somebody that heard the council. So we find out, well, they find out that he had broken rules, he being Joel, revolving the council at this time, right? Me, I already knew that. And a lot of them did too, because we all been told certain things that he's told people and stuff like that, as I showed you, right, earlier. So that was that, right? So Rich comes over, the stepdad, father-in-law, Salakia, Joel's father-in-law, and he comes over, acts like he's happy to see me. Hey, yeah, good to see you. Gives me a hug and everything, and then immediately goes, so why y'all ain't apologize? So I look at him and go, apologize? He owed me an apology. I did apologize. It's on like it's recorded. Then Kahari looks at me and goes, oh, we ain't talking about you right now. Talking about everybody else. Again, this kid that ain't even involved, right? Meddling in many affairs. So that's that, right? So that's just to give you the backstory. I end up walking away, right? And Salakia for my computer glitching and stuff, it does that sometimes. But I end up walking away, and you know, I go talk to Ikarab, and I go talk to the Iron Horn Design and let them know what's going on. I even called Kano and told him, yo, Joel didn't apologize to me. He didn't talk to me. And at the time, he's on the phone with Judah, right? And this is when he's trying to get Judah to apologize and squash certain things with him, which also proves that the thing he told that brother in that message I showed you earlier was a lie, because Judah didn't apologize on the council for knowing he was wrong or seeing when he was wrong or whatever the hell, right? It wasn't nothing like that. So, any allegation or anybody that agreed with the allegation that I made had to apologize. But that was, as I said, it was reasonable suspicion, if you will, for us making the allegation. And we apologized. Anybody that agreed with it, apologized for it. That was it. I don't even know if Judah was one of those people. I just know of it being me and Kano, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, that was a lot. But moving on, right? That was just so you guys understand the backstory of the Fringe Dub Fest, to see why he's talking about it, because it was clear hypocrisy, right? And something we need to realize is we're not supposed to be hypocrites in the sight of men. So when you do that and you're a teacher like him, been famous, a famous teacher, right? uh, you that could eat you up, because a bunch of people saw that. It was public, which is why if you know, you know, right? So now you know if you didn't know.
All y'all will all talk about. And you want it to be one way. But it's the other way. Don't play with me, bro. Don't disrespect.
The one way he's talking about, in case y'all can't read the code, is I want it to be what the Bible says, right? We're not supposed to hold a grudge against the children of our people. Brothers fight, brothers bicker, right? We should be able to come back together. And I got clips of him saying that right after we left. And now it's this way. You feel me? This is how much the brother changes. It's almost like a bipolar type of character trait or something. I don't know. But one moment, he's I don't backbite, I don't tail bear, bicker, or slick shot, and then we see him doing it. And one moment he's on stage talking about brotherhood, and then he don't want to do what the brotherhood would require of him, which is when a brother mentioned that you offended him, that you have a fault, and he rebuke you for it, you're supposed to repent, right? And by his own words that you're going to hear later on, he's even going to admit that and then not do it. So just shows the pride and hypocrisy of the brother, which is another reason why brothers left, right? Because we're not supposed to make ourselves underling to a foolish man. And it's really foolish for you to, sway back and forth, jump in and out of traffic, as he said, with your spirit and the way you carry yourself as an Israelite teacher, right? So, yeah.
Disrespect me either. I'm a fierce competitor. I've been a competitor all my life.
Didn't know this was a competition. Thought we was just teaching the Bible, bro.
If I come to you with respect and I show you respect, I want it in return. I expect
I
it.
thought we was just handling
And if you're
grievances. I
not
didn't know
gonna
it was a
give it,
conversation.
then that's the end. It's not.
And he says, if I'm not going to give it, then that's the end. The problem is, I did give you the respect. I apologize for the accusation that I couldn't prove. You did not apologize for the thing that the elders had you apologize for, right? For the offense that my parents are offended for, right? For the thing that I brought up to you and came to my brother with earlier, right? Let me read you another scripture. Uh, this is Matthew chapter 18 and verse 15, right? It says, moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. And if he shall hear thee, thou hast gained a brother, right? The situation from uh that involved my parents, right, was something that uh I brought up to y'all all many occasions because my parents didn't want to come around no more until they got an apology for this situation, right? And real quick, before I show that, just to prove to you that the Fringe Fest situation happened the way I said it did, this is me and Chief Ephraim, who I told you was real close to the situation. I hit him up today, Sunday, July 7, 2022. Yo, Chief, I got a question. When I got there and when I dapped up Joel and niggas tried to bring up the council, I walked away and left Judah and them there because Joel's guys weren't admitting Joel's wrong in the matter, which is him not apologizing, right? So I walked away, and Joel wasn't even a part of the convo because he let his, father-in-law and Kahari, right, talk for him. So and then I basically said that, right? Joel wasn't even a part of the convo. His father-in-law and Soldier brought it up. Was I wrong for leaving the convo? Since they weren't trying to make him apologize, but they wanted my guys to apologize again. I just want to know from an elder that knows what's going on, right? And then Chief called me, right? And we had a good conversation. He told me some things. Oh, hold on. So I ain't even show it to y'all. My bad. Let me pull this up. Salakia. Bow. There you go. Right? There's the name. So you see it's Chief, right? Shalom, Chief. Yo, I got a question. When I got there, I dapped up Joel, and niggas tried to bring up the council. I walked away and left Judah and them there because Joel's guys weren't admitting Joel's wrong in the matter. So I walked away, and Joel wasn't even a part of the convo. His father-in-law and Soldier brought it up. As I told you, was I wrong for leaving the convo? Since they weren't trying to make him apologize, but they wanted my guys to apologize again? Because at this point, the council has been over for over a year, right? He's saying we gave apologies, even though it wasn't for the stuff that he said, right? It was for this allegation. And I don't even think none of these brothers had to apologize. Aharon and Nadiyah wasn't even on the council, right? What you making them apologize for? They wasn't even involved. What you in their face for? Don't make no sense, right? I just want to know from an elder that knows what's going on. Kahari don't know what's going on. That's why he's talking to everybody about this stuff. Rich neither. He don't know what's going on. He was just, they decided to have the council at his house and have a little get together and a party, right? Against the rules of the council. We know because Aharon was there or around, or his wife was, right? I mean, he wasn't in our camp yet, but he is now, right? So that's that. Um, and I mean, we could also hear y'all on the council, but kind of not very good at being quiet. All right. So another reason why I decided to speak. This is a week ago, right? As you see, and we basically, right, quite literally, uh decided to make the video or at least make a public address about everything once this happened, because up to this point, at least not too much publicly, he hadn't said our name. It's just been a lot of subliminals and him saying things about situation only people involved would know, right? But this was telling to me because what you're going to see here is brothers on stage that are supposed to be good reputable brothers, right? Roe the chef, Israelite rapper, supposed to teach righteousness through the airways, right? Asha Allah, which is the name I gave to Kahari. I'm not going to use that name today because Lil Red, Riding Hood, he's been disrespectful and don't deserve that name that I gave him, right? I was Fiery Gad. He was, the fire of God. He's a Levite. So I gave him that name. He ain't worth it today. So I'm going to call him Kahari, right? But this brother is also going to be seen in as a hypocrite per his own admission, right? By talking about things on the council without realizing he wasn't supposed to be on the council. Or maybe he is realizing he wasn't supposed to be on the council and has no problem being an open hypocrite in the matter. And then tries to rebuke us for talking about the council when we haven't talked about the council publicly. Only him and his elder have, as I showed you, right? So yeah, we haven't. They have. They accuse us of making allegations of backbiting and tailbearing with people, but the only people we told was people that happened to then come on the council, right? One of which was Shalpar, another of which was Prisabak, and another of which was Gorilla Hebrew, per basically his own admission, right? So Zabak hit me up to find out about the situation, so I didn't tell Bear about to him. So and the good brother Arya, right, from HOI Chicago can back that up because he's the one that hit up Zabak to hit me up. And I also got text messages to prove that and phone records to prove that I wasn't the one that hit him up. So that allegation was false. And I did hit up Gorilla Hebrew, but it was to get advice on the situation. And he ended up taking everything I said when giving him my side of the story, not trying to verify my side of the story, but just taking Joel's side and getting on the council and accusing me of backbiting and tailbearing. So now that it's been seen that Joel was actually the one doing that, I hope I get a phone call. But if not, it's all good. He already said we straight. So it is what it is, right?
That's the only thing we haven't done on Clubhouse yet. They not ready. It's for brothers to talk about an issue they got and use the Bible to solve it that the world has never seen. They've seen all the debates. They've seen all the battles. We know you got an echo chamber with everybody on your side. But I'm saying I got to know some of y'all niggas in real life. Damn. I got some of y'all niggas' numbers. I never talked about none of y'all niggas behind y'all back. Damn.
We see the lie detector determines that was a damn lie, right? Because that one little message I showed you, I got a bunch of those I could show you. But once again, for the sake of time, right, I'll keep that to myself for now. But should there be a reason for me to make a second video where I have to show more proof of things and more, show more things, and I'll even give y'all the video clips that I saved at that point, right, to bring more stuff out. Should it get to that point, I pray it doesn't, because that ain't what I'm here for, right? I'm only here to give my side of the story as to why brothers left. If the brothers that have lied about why we left don't just, admit to being wrong about why we left and not telling the truth to the public about why we left, but they try to spin it again, then we'll spin the block on things to prove stuff that I'm leaving out in this video. Best believe that.
But I keep finding out more and more of y'all got something slick to say about me and my team, but let's talk about it.
We only have something slick to say because we know that y'all been talking slick the whole time, even behind brothers' back, and then openly saying that you haven't been doing it, which is lying and hypocrisy in the sight of men, which is something you're not supposed to do per the good brother Sirach, right?
I'm warning you, Lord. Listen, remember when Huey was telling you can't tell white people the truth? You can't tell niggas to keep it real.
So Roy didn't warn him of backbiting or tailbearing or raising a false report, which are things we were accused of. But he warned him of, you can't tell niggas to keep it real. All right, bet. Crazy, right?
But in my personal opinion, no, it sounds like you recount events, actual live events. And events can't be disrespectful. In my opinion.
That's something I want y'all to remember, right? I don't want nobody to get mad at me for this, because I know it's a lot of man fans and man pleasers and respecters of persons out there that are probably going to get mad that I'm even doing this. But y'all didn't get mad when he's doing what he about to do, right? When he's been talking about us and making all these different videos, and a lot of y'all know what the situation's about, right? So Y'all know who we be talking about when he talks about this type of stuff. Y'all was able to catch when he threw the jab at Ariala in that response video, and then threw the jab at us right afterwards, and we ain't even make our video yet. Like, it was crazy. So yeah, things like that, right? So brothers ain't rebuke him for none of this stuff. I don't want to hear it, right? I'm only saying something because y'all allowed it to be said, right? By him so many times. I stayed quiet for 2.5 years. Say my name, say my name. Yeah, okay. I'm here. We here now. Mm-hmm. Except, well, we'll talk about it. Apologize. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Say goddamn Biggie, bro. I'm telling you, man, if we'd have been playing, yes, it were. Damn. And niggas went into Ariala's video and was saying the same shit in the comments still. So it's crazy. No, it wasn't. Yes, it were. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. Well, y'all wasn't supposed to say nothing no more. Y'all set orders. Which is crazy because I mean, if we gonna be real, the council went a different way. And I'm just saying, like, listen, the judgment was given.
So Kahari is admitting to him hearing the council, right? Later on, after this, I didn't record this part, or the recording wasn't sent to me. I don't have that part, but it's on the Clubhouse recording, right? So, this right here, though, right? He's trying to say that he heard the call, the council, and that the judgment went a different way, as he said, right? So eloquently. So what we have to understand is this. One, he's a hypocrite because he wasn't supposed to be on the council. So him and Joel saying we weren't supposed to say anything while having a brother that wasn't even supposed to be on it say something about it is pure, hilarious. It's funny. It's laughable, right? And it's horrendous that you guys would do such a thing, right? And be people who claim to teach the Bible, right? Especially seeing as though it's proven that you guys actually said something first, right? When it comes to the council, we have proof of such behind our back. You thought that if you said to people, that people wouldn't come back and tell us what was said, or that if you send the messages, that people wouldn't come back and tell us what you said in the messages, or send us the messages, or anything like that, right? So it's like these are things that y'all have to account for. You feel? And remember that y'all did, as the conversation that the brother told us that y'all had. The thing with Shania happened during the council. You feel? So since the council, we weren't allowed to deal with her. So anybody talking about her in this conversation is talking about things that happened before and during the council, which means they shouldn't have known about that. Which means if they do know about that, and it happened in the stuff that we could verify happened during the council, like the talk with Girly Hebrew, right? That means that you were saying things during the council. So Little Red Riding Hood ain't supposed to be saying nothing. He's meddling in many affairs, and he's a little hypocrite, right? How you gonna be all that and a Levite at the same time? You don't deserve your name, little nigga. But I digress.
Wait. On behalf of Cap, since he's not here.
Wait, Roe is a hypocrite too, because me and Kano wasn't in this room. He had no problem letting him talk about us. Ariala wasn't in this room. He had no problem letting him talk about him. The brother from IUIC he spoke about wasn't in the room. Captain Tazariak wasn't in the room, but he stopped him with Cap. Yawasat wasn't in the room. You know what I'm saying? He talked about all them people and more. But he only stopped him from talking about the people that he know. I don't know Roe. I ain't never heard a song of his. I don't know him from Adam, right? So, like, that's that. And I guess because we don't got no type of relationship, I don't know him from nowhere. He must have decided it's okay for the brother to talk about people with backbite and tailbear and raise false reports and just straight up talk about other people behind their back. But people that he know, it's nah, because Cap ain't here. You see, birds of a feather flock together. Be not a hypocrite in the sight of men. Okay? So that's that, right? These are the reasons we're here today. So now let's get into something that I want to show you guys. Before we get into why me and my brothers left, right? Um, and the lie that he told specifically, right? Um, I want to bring up something on a personal note as far as the makeup of the camp, right? Sons of Thunder. So people have the misconception and the notion that Joel has always been the sole leader of this camp, right? That has never been the case, except for now, anyway. So I want to show you guys. This is a picture that a lot of you probably haven't seen, especially you guys that are new in the truth, right? Because you guys being new, a lot of y'all don't go back and watch old videos and stuff like that to really see how camps was made up, how they started, all that type of stuff. So we used to get a big crowd. That's what we was known for, right? Since the time of HOI. And contrary to popular belief, if you've ever seen the videos, it wasn't just Joel that was teaching, getting the crowd or gaining the crowd, right? Once we started SOT, he was the one that always edited the videos. So, that's gonna be that on that. But aside from him being the person that edits the videos, he's gonna be seen teaching the most, right? Because other brothers just wasn't trying to take the spotlight, right? We wasn't worried about being famous. So, but nicknames can tell a lot about a person. Anyway, so this picture, right, is a picture that explains and shows you guys the leadership of the camp and the founders of the camp, right? To just break it down to you, and the people that are in SOT, or at least that were, probably the new niggas now don't know, but the people that the originals in SOT, the folks that actually know what's going on for real, even folks that are still there now, they know the structure and the makeup of the camp, and a lot of them understand who these guys are. So from the inception of the camp, the structure was elder, captain, soldier, right? And people think that the elder was Joel, but there's always been elders of this camp, right? This is the first picture that we ever took as a camp, right after we got our shirts, right? We got the shirts the week before this picture was taken. This is a feast of dedication, right? This is at Ikarab's house, okay? And this is the first feast day that we ever had as a camp and our first gathering as a camp, right? This is when we decided everybody's position, how the camp was going to run, right? And we taught our first lesson together, which was the feast of dedication, right? So ironically, this camp SOT was started on feast of dedication, and we left on feast of dedication officially, like around the time of feast dedication, and the day of feast dedication for 2022 is when the lie was told that made all the other brothers leave that left, right? So feast dedication was the beginning and the end of the camp, basically, right? So just to give you guys the breakdown of these brothers in this picture, to give them their respect, because the brother that's in the camp now has never done so. From my left, right to the right, you got Ikarab, the bald brother, right? So shout out to the Scorpion King himself, right? This is now the leader of Salt. So this is Ikarab, right? He was our first captain. This is Adrian. He was one of the 4 elders when we started the camp. We all voted on positions, right? Of course, the man getting voted on wouldn't vote on his position, but everybody else would, and so on and so forth. And we all voted that Ikarab would be a captain, right? We voted that Adrian would be an elder based on his knowledge and his teaching ability, because he did teach at HOI, right? Now, Quam was voted an elder because he had been around longer than anybody else other than Joel. And he opted on his own merit to be a captain and not an elder, right? So he's technically an elder, but his position was captain because he wanted it to be, right? Then we had Yahweh All, which of course he's going to be an elder. You have me. They voted me an elder. And at the time, I'm only like maybe 20, I don't know, 24, something like that, right? So 25, I don't know. I'm in the early to mid 20s, right? So um this is Elijah. This is Adrian's older brother. He was our cameraman and made a captain. And of course, y'all know Levi, the Edomite slayer, right? Kano. So this was the big seven, right? This was it. So people have been led to believe, and I've allowed y'all to believe the whole time I was in the camp, right? That I was like, for lack of better words, for lack of better comparison, that I was like his uh uh the Hassad to his gorilla Hebrew, or if nothing else, the Tazama to his gorilla Hebrew, right? But in actuality, it's like, you know, it's like Bishop Nathaniel and the other Bishop Kanai, right? Before all the stuff happened. You feel? It's like Priest Sabak and Priest Torah. You feel me? It's like like Priest Dan and Bun Lawyer. Like we was the same. I wasn't under him. You feel what I'm saying? We started the camp together. When it came to HOI, I was never somebody that joined HOI per se, right? I was put in the camp by Kano. I was already in the truth. I knew the truth already. At the time, uh, I met Joel November 23rd, 2017, around there. It was either 22nd or 23rd, right? A Sabbath day. I was going around Atlanta at the time, asking certain camps a question about the lily or the seal of Israel, or what you guys would call the Star of David, for lack of a better words, right? So I was asking them that question because I wanted to join the camp, but I only wanted to join a camp that used this symbol, right? I knew about Sakari, but Sakari wasn't in Atlanta at the time. You feel me? I didn't even know HOI. I didn't know Priest Sabak. I didn't know none of them. My dad was the first person to find that camp. For those of you that don't know, my parents are in the truth, right? So this day in November, I go see IUIC. I asked them the question. I spoke to the brother Barnabas, the Jamaican brother, right? Captain Amaziah was out there. Captain Shemaiah was out there, right? They doing their little thing. This was back when they was at the Red CVS downtown in Atlanta in 5 Points every single Saturday, right? I'm at Georgia State at the time. So I'm checking them out, right? And that happens. Uh, I meet Joel after they give me their answer. I didn't like it, right? I already knew what the seal was, what the star is, right? So I walked away from them, realized, yo, there's another brother down the street. So I go talk to him, ask him the question. He answers it the way that I wanted him to answer it, right? And from there, I read from the crowd and was even giving precepts and finishing sentences like how y'all used to see me and him do all the time. I'm doing this from the crowd, my first day meeting the brother, right? I'm in the spirit. So I come back the next week with my parents and my little brother. Everybody got fringes on and everything like that. My folks are trying to see what's going on because I'm like, I might join this camp. So they wanted to come see what was up, right? So everybody pull up. We like it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and at the time, I actually got a picture. Sharpar's wife is in the picture, right? It's a screenshot from the camera. Shout out to brother Steve, right? So Sharpar's wife, Ayla, is in the picture. Adrian is in the picture because me and him came our first day together, right? Not together, but his first day meeting Joel was my first day meeting Joel, ironically, at the same time, right? We both had came to see the camp. He got fringes on, I got fringes on. We pull up at the same day. And then we came the next week. We both came back the next week and uh, we knew how to read. We knew precepts already. So they asked us to come on this side. They really being Kano, right? Kano asked us, yo, why don't y'all come on this side and help us read? He's like, I don't know this stuff like that. I just came into this thing. So y'all come help us read and stuff like that. So Kano actually put me on the line. I came back the next week. He goes, hey, when you come back, just come on this side. Don't ever go in the crowd no more. Just come over here and read for us. So after that, I'm in the camp. Like, I just started coming and reading. You feel me? Eventually, me and Joel start talking more, and that's how we build a relationship. He realizes I could read, I could talk. He even started telling me things back then, like I could be one of the best teachers in Israel, right? Which is what prompted me to start teaching. And like publicly, because I had been teaching on the internet and stuff like that already, like through the keyboard and stuff, but uh I wasn't speaking publicly. And since I was the only Northern Kingdom brother, there was one day when a Asherite sister pulled up the 5 points, and Joel let me teach it. And then they saw me teach. Priest Sabat got to watch it live because I was recording it. And Joel let me know later on that Zabak said I was real fiery, and he gave me the nickname Fiery Gad after that teaching, right? That's how I started. So I was never somebody that was like quote unquote subordinate to Yahweh all as far as doctrine was concerned, right? When I was in HOI after a time, I was subordinate as far as my position, right? But as far as me having to learn, I was never under him like that. Never looked at him as my spiritual father, right? My real pops is in the truth. You feel me? So both of us look at our spiritual father as the most high, right? And he's my daddy. So that's that. So, just wanted to put that out there. This is the big seven. Okay. Now, let's get into why we here. Oh, wait, one more thing before we go. Because Kahari made a statement, an allegation. He can't get away, as they would say. So he said that we was on Ariala's videos making, statements about stuff, right? About the allegation that Joel wants to call a lie, right? To bring y'all back to that. Joel saying that I made a lie that made brothers leave. What I'm about to show you is he made a lie that made brothers leave. But before that, I'm gonna give you the backstory. So this guy, David Williamsburg, as you guys saw, Joel, all over the clubhouse and stuff like that, going crazy. You know what I'm saying? Wilding out in the public, just putting out all type of personal stuff and grievances with brother, right? Causing problems and causing schism in the body. All these things the Bible tells you not to do, right? Being a hypocrite in the sight of men because he's the brother that teach brotherhood is the final chapter, right? Or final chamber, whatever the hell he said. You feel me? He be telling people what he wants y'all to think that we be saying publicly. So even though you can't find us saying it. So he said it so much, the allegation about the Cancun thing, even in the past, he was giving more detail and stuff like that, that brothers like David Williamsburg, who are not in our camp and not associated with the Anointed House of Saints at all whatsoever, me personally, I've never even seen him in a video or on our comments, right? Yet and still, because of things Joel has said himself, either on his classes on Friday or on Clubhouse, as you just heard, right? People have made their own and come to their own conclusions. So this brother typed this on Ariala's video, and Ariala's wife deleted it. And I didn't even know that it was said, and it was sent to me to show me that this is what Joel was talking about, right? How can you trust a camp leader that steals out of the camp funds for his vacation and jet ski? I never made this statement public. David Williamsburg don't follow me on Instagram or Facebook. And there's no post that I made where I said that, right? Like that he actually stole money to go on a camp trip or like a trip, right? I made the allegation for the for the uh for the council, but I didn't like come out and do a video or get on Clubhouse and do what he just did in a public spectacle. You feel me? So Kahari, you lied again, bruh. Wait, did y'all even get to see that? Let me make sure. Probably wasn't showing. There we go. Just in case y'all didn't see it, right? How you trust the camp leader that steals out of the camp funds for his vacation and jet ski. So there you go. All right. We don't know David Williamsburg. He's not associated with our camp. He ain't with us. So can't blame us for what other people are saying because you've been talking about it. That ain't got nothing to do with us. All right. So let me take this off of here because keep glitching. We're gonna rock with this for the moment. All right, so back to why we're here. But like one more thing, you feel? Cause like I said, you can't be a hypocrite inside of men. Very important not to do such a thing. You feel me? And when brothers be just making statements like this, Joel resurrected. I am the same way every day, all year. I never participate in public spectacles, and I've never done it ever. Wasn't what he just did on Clubhouse what y'all would call a public spectacle? That's what I would call a public spectacle, right? What else would that be, right? So I mean, it's like it's just hypocrisy after hypocrisy, narrative after narrative, lie after lie, right? And we've been quiet, just letting them be told, just letting things be said. So that's probably my fault. But today we're gonna correct some things. So let's get the backstory as to how everything started with this mismanagement of funds allegation, right? Particularly surrounding the camp fund. And again, for the man pleasers, right? I apologized for the allegation of the Cancun thing. I just want to keep saying that because the Bible says what it says in the book of Luke, red letter, right? If a man repent, you're supposed to forgive him. You feel? There was something that he did not repent for that I brought up to him, right? That involved the reason I left HOI. You feel me? Which is how I ended up starting the camp with him in the first place. But my parents, like, they never came to a SOT feast day, right? Or SOT event ever. There was one time when y'all all was invited to my house for the Tyson Fury fight, right? And Deontay Wilder fight, the first one, I believe in 2019 or 2020. I think it was 2019 though. He was invited over to my house for that. He was still married to Ariana, right? Shout out to my sister. So that happened. And he was invited to apologize. He never apologized, so my parents never invited him back. But just to prove that I did do what Matthew 18 said, right? In regard to that situation, before we move on and I bring it back up, to give full clarity and context to it, right? I sent them a message in June 1st, 2022, and it'll come back up again later on. So that's why I'm talking about it now, because there's going to be other messages from December that y'all are going to see where we're actually talking about it again, right? And this message in June ain't the first time I brought it up either. You feel me? So check it out. It says, you see how you completely, and this is a message that I'm sending to y'all all, right? As you see. So you see how you completely ignored the thing I said was the main reason I made the video. You keep saying, you keep talking about me. I said they brought my family into this. My parents are mad that my camp treated them like heathen, and my two elders, Zabak and Joel, never said anything to them about it. Right? There were 3 people involved, but I only mentioned 2 because one of the 3 people apologized to my parents, which would be Shalpar. Right? Wait, I'll explain the situation in a moment. But there was 2 that never said anything, right? Zabak and Yawa'al, right? The one which hurt more was Yawa'al. My parents didn't really care if Zabak said anything because I ain't in this camp no more. They could give a damn. But when I was with Joel, they wanted him to make that right because they felt like they were little ones that had been offended, which I'll explain how, right? So that's that. Yeah. My 2 elders, Zabak and Joel, treated them like heathen and never said anything to them about it. My dad takes it as an insult when you call me Judah, because we know I'm Northern Kingdom. He used to call me Judah all the time, and my dad didn't used to like that because he was like, "You're trying to say my son can't be, Northern Kingdom because he looked brown skin and stuff like that. That ain't right. That ain't what you teach." Da, 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 da. So the fact that you elders never apologized to my parents for making them feel like heathen, and a camp calling my dad and myself heathen for a year is what made me make the video. It is what made them ask me to make the video. Backstory to this is we're battling FOP, right? It's basically a SOT versus FOP thing going on. I'm the Northern Kingdom guy on Milk Monday going against them for the Negro only doctrine, right? I didn't like it. And I went head to head with them damn near every single week till one day they brought my family into it, showed pictures of my family, went on my Facebook and tried to say that the light-skinned relatives I have aren't Israelites, but I'm an Israelite, which didn't make no sense because they related to me. We got the same grandparents and all that type of stuff. It didn't make no sense. So after that was debunked, I made a video and I said some things that Priest Sabak didn't like, which is why I mentioned him particularly in this message, because I'm like, well, things I said, I only had to say because my parents still feel a way about certain things, right? They wouldn't feel so much of a way and wouldn't have stressed me to make this video as much as they did and to say the things that I did to clear the air the way that I did had you and Zabak, just apologize for the thing that happened back at HOI. You feel? So I'm bringing this up to get him, to apologize because I want them to be coming to feast days and stuff like that again, right? They haven't done that since HOI at this time. They hadn't been around the camp since HOI at this time. So that's that. My mom, for those of you that don't know, she has multiple sclerosis. She's in a wheelchair. She can't walk, and she has asthma. And my dad is her caregiver. So the situation that happened was we're at the Feast of First Fruits. Joel and Shalpar are having a little power struggle for who's going to be the leader of HOI Atlanta, and brothers could testify to that. There's also a situation with Nay and Ariana and Joel going on. So that happens, right? Which all this is public, so I don't mind saying that part at least. And yeah, at the Feast of First Fruits, because Joel and Shalpar are having their little spat, I asked, there's a lot of incense going on and stuff like that. The room is basically hot box. And as I said, my mom has asthma. So I asked Joel, yo, bro, can I put the incense out? Because at this point, I see my mom is holding her breath, quite literally holding her breath. And they have her seated in the front row. So she's right in front of the incense. Joel goes, man, I don't know. I ain't the leader, right? Obviously, as you see, he the one teaching the lesson. So why don't you ask him? So obviously he's mad that he's not the one teaching the first fruits lesson, right? He wants to be the one in the spotlight teaching the first fruits lesson. So Shalpar is teaching it, and Joel don't like that. So he's telling me, instead of being the leader that could put out the incense or make the decision to put out the incense, because at this point we're at HOI. This ain't SOT. My position is subordinate. I can't, in my mind, I can't just touch the incense at their feast day, right? Mind you, this is only the third feast day that I've ever done. This is my first fruits with them, right? So, or my second first fruits with them. You feel me? So, yeah. Is it my second? It was my first or second first fruits ever. You feel me? So I'm not all into exactly what I can and can't do as far as at the feast day and stuff. So I'm asking him, can you put the incense out? Right? He don't want to do it. He catch a little attitude, tell me at Shalpar. So I asked Shalpar, and Shalpar goes, this is the feast of the Lord. It's a solemn feast day, and the Most High required incense. So I don't really want to put the incense out. I understand the situation, but your mom's gonna have to wait outside. So they opened up the door, the door in the back of the room. Mind you, it's hot boxed. And they asked my mom to stand by the doorway so you can still hear the service. So you're gonna make a handicapped woman and her husband stand outside instead of just putting the incense out. Okay. Now I'm a little bit upset. I feel disrespected. My parents drove an hour and 25 minutes to the feast, right? My dad, who's an older man, and my mom, who's an older woman, they've been up all day. My dad worked all day and then had to put my mom in the car and drive an hour and 25 minutes, take her out the car by himself because I'm inside setting up, right? Or teaching at the time. And, sit her down just to have to get up in the middle of the service and stand on his feet the whole rest of the time outside, right? Mind you, that's happening. They never put the incense out. They got the door open. The wind's blowing. It's Feast of First Fruits, right? Like spring, early summertime. So, like the wind's blowing, you know what I mean? And the wind is taking the smoke right into the face of my parents. So my mom is inhaling it like the whole time. You feel me? That's what happens. And they end up, having to not stand by the door where they can hear the service because my mom starts choking again from the outside. So now she's choking inside. She has an asthma attack. They make her get up. She goes outside, right? And now she's choking outside because the smoke just keeps going outside, right? Right to where they have them standing. And there's another door that they could have opened near us. They decided not to open that door, but to open a door that would be right directly near my parents. So I don't have the ability to make any decisions in this situation or in this camp. So I'm stuck. My dad puts up the peace sign and they leave. They drive an hour and 25 minutes back in the middle of the Feast of First Fruits. My dad doesn't get anointed. He don't get to eat. None of that stuff happens. His first feast day. So they left. He never went back. Before this, my dad went to he came to a new moon, and I think he came to Passover by himself. Right? That was it. Feast of First Fruits was my mama's first feast day and only feast day. She never came back because she felt embarrassed after that. So now you've offended a little one, right? I know that my mom isn't technically required to come to all the feasts, but my dad is, right? Certain specific ones. And my mom being somebody who is sickly and can't move and can't walk, and the feasts are not ever close to my house. I live in the they live in the boondocks, right? So it's like they're not close to nothing. So if I'm in Atlanta and they're in the suburbs or something like that, it's going to be different for them to be able to get to the feast day. You feel me? So if they got to drive back, then I'm still there. They missed it. You feel? And if my mom's embarrassed about the situation, the least you could do is to make it right, because offending a little one is a bad thing. It's not something we're supposed to do, right? If her being offended in the situation prevents my dad from being able to come to the feast days, then you've made it worse on yourself as the person who made the offense and didn't want to apologize or repent for the offense that you've been made aware that you made. Because if my mom don't want to go to the feast, or she's afraid that y'all are going to choke her and smoke her out, my dad has to stay home with her. He has to be the caregiver, which means he has to watch the feast from the crib. Yeah, where two or three are gathered and they make two, so he's technically all right, but he can't never experience what it's like to come, right? If she's scared to pull up. That's all I wanted him to do, was apologize to make my mom feel comfortable to come back, and he didn't want to do it. Talk about being humble, but couldn't do it, right? So that's the grievance that I wanted the apology for that he didn't give, just to get that out the way, right? And there was no forcing of the apology by the elder, which is why he was involved in it. But there was an apology given by the other person, which was Shawpar. So I will say shout out to Shawpar for giving my mom an apology, the water. He did that while she was in the hospital with a blood clot. All right. So now what you came for. And I don't want to hear nobody say, oh, that's Junk's petty, is from back in the day. Nah, bro. He never made it right. If thy brother repent, forgive him. He didn't repent, and he was commanded to. It's on record. But, I'm not going to play that because, like I said, the recording was personal, and there were things on the council that don't even need to be played. Like, a brother on the council had a whole temper tantrum, like whole bawling, screaming like a child at the Walmart that don't get a toy. You know what I'm saying? The white kid at the store that's like type of temper tantrum. So, but the conversation for another time. All right. So now backstory as to why we left, right? And then I'm going to show you guys text messages to basically prove what I'm saying. So, as I showed you guys earlier, we had minutes, right? Part of the minutes was talking about certain financials with the camp. One of the things that we were talking about at the time in 2022 was a groundbreaking for the San Francisco camp. We were supposed to go and do a groundbreaking. Up until this time, we had done a groundbreaking for North Carolina, our North Carolina camp, which had the bigger amount of people, right? And we did a groundbreaking for the Watchmen for Israel, which wasn't even part of our camp, right? Shout out to them brothers. So we went and supported them when they opened up their Baltimore location. You know what I mean? So Shaquat, who was the head of our San Francisco division, right? And at the time, the other captains, Yehuda and Yara'al, right? They wanted us to do a groundbreaking so that, we would show that we have representation on the West Coast as well. And we started trying to come up with ways to be able to do this groundbreaking. And Yara'al, being the person that controlled the camp fund, right, went ahead and told everybody that we don't have enough money to go on this trip because of lack of donations and such, right? So before we start to have this conversation about the actual going to San Francisco, right, brothers take a couple weeks to try to think about plans and to try to push a vote through on raising the camp dues, right? when I say brothers, I'm talking about the captains. The way the vote structure went in SOT is the 3 elders at the time, which, by then, Naquam, Adrian, and Naquam had left. Naquam, Adrian, and Elijah, Salakia, had left, right? And that's telling too, right? Why is all the founders of the camp gone except for one brother? That's the stuff that y'all could, leave to question on your own. So, but them 3 brothers had already left. So at this point, instead of 4 elders, now it's only 3, right? 3 people that share the same position, which would be me, Joel, and Kano, right? So we have the right at this point to veto a vote, which I guess made it better because it would have been a tie all the time if Adrian was there, unless it was 3 of us on one side and one of us not. So the fact that we had 3, it was always a tiebreaker. You feel me? So that helped us out a lot with a lot of situations. But if the 3 of us ever wanted to, go a different route than what the other captains went and say they want to vote, right? We would have the right to veto it if we could give a reasonable explanation as to why we're vetoing the vote. So there was one instance where, as I said, brothers were coming up with solutions to try to help the camp fund and build it up, make it so that we'd have enough money to do the things we need to do, like go on the San Francisco groundbreaking. And Joel's telling us we don't have the money because of lack of camp fund, and mind you, or lack of donations. And mind you, up to this point, everybody's kind of surprised because there was a certain amount of money that I'm not going to disclose that we thought we had in the fund up to this point, based off conversations that Joel had with us on these same Sunday camp calls in the past, this very year, right? And we know that we just did a couple of feast days. We know around like around how much the feast days cost and how much he tells us every time we spent on the feast days. So we're not thinking the money had depleted as much as he told us it had. So a couple of the captains, they came up with the idea to have a minimum monthly payment for the camp dues, right? Which we didn't have that before. Before it was pay whatever you can give, right? We had a thing when we started SOT where we asked everybody that comes into the camp if they want to fund this movement themselves, if they're willing to, right? Everybody that joined said yes. So that means that you're going to come out of your own pocket to help us do the things we need to do as a camp, right? And everybody agreed to doing that. That joined. So that's what it was. Whatever you can give, you give. And wasn't no set amount. But brothers wanted to do, let's say, for example, right, just for hypotheticals, a minimum due of $20 a month for each person in the camp. So that was their idea to make it so that we always have money coming in, right? A certain amount of money so we could never say that we're broke. Let's say we got 55 brothers in the camp or something like that, right? Close to 68. If I'm not mistaken, we had 68 brothers in the camp at one time. So the way we're thinking is if 68 brothers or 55 brothers, whatever, donate $20 a month, we'll have this much coming in every single month, which should make it so that we could build the camp to this much and so on and so forth, right? The reason we ended up vetoing that vote, even though they won it, right? The reason we vetoed it is because y'all all got me and Kano on a call and basically convinced us that, yo, this ain't the way that the vision of the camp was supposed to go. I don't want brothers to be having to spend money, saying, because it's right after COVID, brothers' pockets are trying to recover, all that type of stuff. So we thought about it, me and Kano were like, okay, whatever. So we went back and told the brothers we were vetoing the vote, right? They didn't really like that, but it was what it was. So weeks go by. Now we're deciding, since we don't have a real solution for the camp dues and bringing more money into the camp, we still have to do this groundbreaking. So weeks go by and we're trying to find affordable ways to get to San Francisco and stuff like that. Mind you, though, we still think we have a certain amount of money in the camp at this point. So some weeks go by and brothers come up with the things they need for San Francisco trip, right? Like the place that we should get the Airbnb, the type of cars we should get. Brothers been looking up plane tickets and all that type of stuff. So we get together on this particular Sunday call some weeks after the other one to put all that together and to come up with a plan on how we're going to get there, right? When we're going to leave, all that type of stuff. And while we're talking about it, putting up the prices and the things we want to do and showing the Airbnbs that we found and so on and so forth, brothers hear from y'all all that, once again, we don't have enough money to do all this stuff. And he starts throwing his own suggestions out there. Like we could pay for the plane tickets and everybody else pay for the Airbnb, or, we could pay for the Airbnb, everybody else put in for their plane ticket and we'll get a rental car or whatever the hell. He even gave the suggestion that we go and he don't. Right? Once he said that, Shaquat's like, whoa, that's crazy, because if you go, nobody else is gonna come. So that don't make no sense, right? So like it's not gonna be as important to certain people, right? The man pleasers and the man fans and stuff. If you ain't there, because you're the star of SOT, you're who we've made the face, right? So if you don't come, people are not gonna think it's important to pull up. So he gotta come, right? So that's how that went. He ends up telling us, yo, we don't got the money, this, that, and the third. So at this point, brothers come up with suggestions. Yo, how we don't have the money? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. So brother Micaiah, who's still in the camp, suggests, why don't we all get our own like camp fund and stuff like that? Each location. And he's in Alabama at the time, right? Columbus, Alabama. So Columbus, Georgia / Alabama. So he's he puts a suggestion up there that, yo, we should do this, right? We should each get a camp fund at our location. Israel, his captain, is backing them up for that, right? And Yakamiya, the same day, gave a suggestion that, yeah, we should also be more transparent with the camp fund, right? And he starts to give his strong reasoning for why we should be more transparent. And Joel didn't like neither one of these suggestions. He kind of went off, and at the end of it, accused brothers of trying to check his pockets. So the call ends like that, right? After this call, the captains on their own decide to have a call. From what we understand, allegedly, it was Micaiah and Yakamiya that decided to get on this call, right? Because they didn't like the way that they were talked to and the way things went on the call. And Israel was probably a part of that as well, or like orchestrating this and putting it together. So, while they're on this call on this Sunday, the brothers get me and Kano to also get on the phone, right? They want to talk to us to give us their strong reasoning as to why, they think these suggestions that they gave should be, voted on and agreed upon, right? Why they make sense and so on and so forth. And they decided to tell me and Kano because they didn't want us to get back with Joel and like veto the vote before it even happened, right? So they wanted to give us their strong reasoning just so we have an understanding of where they're coming from. So we listened to them, right? And at the end of the conversation, we said, you know what? This makes sense. We're going to set up a call so that a couple of you brothers could have more of an intimate conversation with Joel, and we'll mediate it, right? So the call ended up being between Judah and Yakamiya, where they have this conversation with Joel. And one of the points that they made was a strong reasoning for, the transparency and the separation of the camp funds amongst each location, was because these two brothers, who are both in North Carolina, asked Joel for money during Tabernacles, right? That year. At this point, it's December, so we haven't gone on the trip to San Francisco, and by this time, the camp camera has been stolen, right? So we didn't do none of the stuff at this point that we were trying to do, and we've been set back because of the camp fund. But brothers still think we got a certain amount of money in the camp, right? Or that we're supposed to have a certain amount of money in the camp that he's now told us we don't have, right? So that's that. They have that conversation, right? We're mediating it, and Joel does the same thing he does in the like on the call on Sunday, right? He didn't like what they said. He at first didn't want to believe that they even asked for money for tabernacles that they didn't receive. So once they got on and explained it to him, he just didn't like that they wanted him to be more transparent, and accused them once again of trying to check his pockets. And at this point, even softly, we'll say, tried to kick Yakamiya out the camp, right? Told him he ain't got to be here no more if he wants brothers to be more transparent, because he don't feel that brothers should need to see or know how much he make because his bank account is tied to the fund, which was more reason for the brothers to be like, that's why each of us should get our own money in our own location, so we ain't got to worry about that, right? So Joel, nah, y'all trying to check my pockets. I don't like that. We'll think about it though. So Judah and Yakamiya get off the call. Now it's me, Joel, and Kano on the phone. And he's talking to us about, we could just let the camp go. You know what I'm saying? Forget these niggas. Like, they trying to check our pockets. my pockets, this, that, and the third. And he said my pockets. Kano goes, why you keep saying your pockets? Like, you keep saying this, and me and Eliel are just sitting here, but you keep saying your pockets. Like the camp is your camp by itself, and that's not. It's our camp. We all started this. So needless to say, me and Kano are feeling away because he keeps calling it his camp point and all that type of stuff, as if the camp is his, right? So he tells us to think about it, because for those of you that know, if you're in the camp, of course, if you were in the camp, you know that Kano never wanted the camp to get big. He just wanted it to stay as 7 brothers that started it, right? So Joel, telling Kano, yo, we could just, telling me and Kano, yo, we could just drop these niggas and do our own thing. Like, he's thinking that is going to be something that is gonna, make Kano be like, okay, bet. I've been waiting on you to say that. But that wasn't Kano's reaction, right? Kano was kind of able to see through it. So once we get off the phone, all 3 of us, me and Kano call back each other, right? We get on the phone together. And I basically made a decision, yo, we're going to have this talk with the brothers, but if things don't go right, I'm probably not going to stay. Because at this point, things have gotten a little escalated between me and trying to get this apology from my parents. It hadn't happened at this point. And so that was that. The following Sunday, the 11th of December, we have the conversation with the brothers based off of what would, like, the conversation that had been had with Judah and Yakamya, and we're thinking everything's going to go smooth. We're all on the same page, and there's a vote that happens, right? On whether 2 votes on whether we should give each camp location their own money, and whether he should be more transparent with the camp fund. Both votes went in the favor of the captains, right? The things that they wanted is what happened as far as the vote. Joel took it upon himself, against me and Kano and the rest of the camp and the bylaws of the Sons of Thunder Israelites, to veto the vote on his own, to protect him from having to tell us what's in his bank account that he tied, right? And called the SOT bank account that was never linked to SOT or an organization called SOT, but instead, as you saw, is linked to GDM LLC, which is the Good Deserve More, which is his business, has nothing to do with me, has nothing to do with Kano, Adrian, Iquam, Ikarab, or Elijah, right? Only him, or anybody else in the camp. And you saw Joe Anili, which is only him. So, or Mr. Ben Famous, which is only him. So that was the issue. He decided not to be transparent, not to give us our own camp fund, except for after we left, allegedly, from what I was told by Micaiah, right, that it would be agreed upon by Joel and Micaiah that allegedly the Alabama team would get their own fund after we left. But while we were there, he vetoed the vote. That made all the captains feel away, at least all the captains that left, right? So that was one of the main reasons why we felt disrespected as captains. And then brothers had dreams, like how, the brothers in Sakari was telling y'all that brothers had dreams and it caused them to leave, right? They saw things happening, and then things happen, right? So the brother Jonathan had a dream on the 15th of December, and he left. Or he had a dream on the 14th of December, and on the 15th, he puts the message out that he's going to leave, right? Judah then puts the message out that he's going to leave, and they put it in the captain's chat. So this is unbeknownst to the soldiers. I see the message, I call Kano, and I let Kano know I'm going to go to sleep, and I'm going to wake up. If I wake up and feel like I'm going to leave, then I'm not going to be in the camp no more, and I'll let brothers know. So I then decide to leave, right? I believe it's December 16th. And we have the messages to prove this too. I'm not going to do it for the sake of time. I'm going to save that in case I need to make a second video. But I got the messages to prove this and with the dates and everything. So, we put our messages in the chat. We tell the soldiers that we're leaving, and then brothers delete our messages, right? Because they deleted them and brothers didn't get to read them, all the soldiers was asking questions like, yo, what's going on, right? So the day of feast dedication, a couple days later, Joel calls a meeting, and this is the meeting where the lies happen. So now, at this point, let's get into the text messages And then we're going to let you guys hear the recording so that y'all can hear why brothers left the camp and the lie that was actually told, and see that it wasn't for me or Kano or Aharon or Judah or Yonatan or, Yakim Yah or Kadar Aharon or Aharon or Shaquat Yahawada. It wasn't from none of us, right? Tico, like, it wasn't none of us, right? Y'all stop if I didn't say his name already. I feel like I'm missing somebody. I don't know, but none of the brothers that left, right? Salaki if I miss somebody, but none of the brothers that left initially, right, and spoke on this call, it wasn't none of us that made this lie. It was the brother that's accusing us of making a lie that made the lie. So let's get into it. Let's begin. So as you see, as I told you, this is December 4th, 2022, right? So this is the Sunday call that I was talking to you about first, initially, where the two suggestions are made by Yakim Yah and Mai Kai. This is Judah and me and Araya in a three-way text message thread that we've had since basically they became captains, right? Because if you remember, Judah and Araya became known to the public on Milk Monday with me, right, as my co-host. So what Yakim Yah is saying right now is what we need to do. This is dummy proof and it works for everybody. He's talking about the transparency. Nobody in Atlanta pays dues according to the screenshots I receive every month. Oh yeah, that's another reason why we know where the money goes and who it goes to, because Judah was in charge of the Cashapps, right? And I said, we all stopped. Like, I'm saying that because at this point, me and Kano stopped making dues, right? Because we had a feeling there was something going on with the money. Once the brother told us earlier, a couple months before that, when we're talking about the San Francisco thing initially, that we ain't got the money in the camp fund. But then I'm like, damn, I ain't have access to the camp fund, so I don't know nothing about this. When Judah tells me nobody in Atlanta pays dues, I'm like, damn, we all stopped? Ron ain't paying? And then we find out, yeah, he ain't doing it. So it's like, damn, okay, that's crazy. So are y'all caught on to this? Wow. So yeah. Then he goes, yo, I'm about to bring up something. I'm about to bring something out, but you're going to have to volunteer. I said, for what? Hold up. Don't put my pockets in trouble yet. As long as I don't got to pay taxes, I'm fine. LOL. Because remember, we've had the talks about the minutes, right? The talks on the minutes that show that we had to talk about Joel being taxed because the camp fund is actually his bank account and we was making money, right? So it's like, yeah, I'm making jokes because we already feel something fishy with the bread. You feel me? So, all right. So here's the next message, right? Scrolling down, it says, Khan. Oh, Salakia, hold on. All right. So look, Khan. But you remember that convo me and you had about his personal finances? He's telling us that exactly what's happening now. Because brothers was having conversations like, yo, what's really going on with this money? Since the time of him telling us this stuff. It was suspicious to everybody, not just me and Kano. You feel me? Then I said, yeah, he just told you what I said about GDM, LOL, right? GDM is what we saw in the PayPal. You feel me? So he's explaining to them that GDM is his personal business. It's tied to the camp fund, or it is the camp fund. It's one bank account, is literally what he said, right? And that certain money gets brought in, right? He does freelance work. Any money that gets brought in by him and his businesses and his, job or whatever he's doing, any transaction he makes, you'll see on that bank account statement, right? It also is going to show anytime he does a Cashapp deposit or whatever you might do, right? From the money that we're sending in, or PayPal deposit from the PayPal to the bank account, right? Like that type of stuff is also going to be seen because it's all one account. And he's explaining there's certain things he don't want brothers to see because it's none of their business. He ain't got access to our bank accounts, which he made point to say that because, again, this is not an SOT account. It's his bank account, which is the reason for brothers wanting to separate the money, right? But, that's what's going on here. So we end up getting off the call, right? Like I told you, they thinking they come to a conclusion, but he basically trying to kick brothers out the camp. So that was that, right? So moving on. Now we're at Wednesday the 7th. Okay. This is the call or the conversation leading up to the call, right? With Judah and Yakamya, with me and Kano mediating the conversation with them and y'all all. So this is after the call had already started, right? Wednesday, December 7, 2022, 9:39 p.m. I said, hey, Judah, you did ask about the money, right, for Tabernacles. Y'all did make it known y'all needed money for Tabernacles somehow. Please reply ASAP. Me and Kano are having to use this as leverage, but Joel acting like he ain't even know y'all needed money for Tabernacles. So I need to clarify right quick what you said, right? Because as I told you earlier, Joel's trying to act like I didn't even know they needed money for Tabernacles. This is before we get them on the phone. So Judah replies, Yakamya did. And if you said it in front of him, he'll agree with you. Because me and Kano and Joel are having a conversation before we let them on the phone. So they're in the queue waiting, right? At the time, he doesn't know Judah's going to be on the phone. He only thinks it's going to be Yakamya. But we're going to ask him to let Judah on and stuff like that because the messages me and Judah are going to send, right? So it says, okay, Khan, because I'm sure he's going to bring it up to Yakamya, right? Here we go. Yeah. And then Judah says he said it on the call like twice. The call he's talking about is the call we had the day before, right? I don't know if he's gonna let you in because Judah's in the queue, right? He said he's standing on his square today, so whatever happens, happens. Because Yakamya already felt like he was probably gonna get kicked out based on things that were said to him for bringing up that suggestion in the first place when he was accused of trying to check Joel's pockets, right, on the Sunday call in front of all the captains. It happened again on this call, right? And then he basically was like told he ain't got to be here no more, for lack of better words, right? So I said text him. And then Araya, who is still a captain in the camp, SOT, says will do. So brothers in SOT can't be acting like they don't know why we left, because they clearly do. Some of them were even involved in the conversations that led up to us leaving, but they be acting like they don't know why we left, right? So, hold on. Okay, yeah, y'all can see. Okay. So that's that, right? Moving on. Bow. So now this will do. Somebody text him and tell him to mention he needed money for Tabernacles when Joel asked him. And then Judah says, I already did, right? Because we're trying to make sure that brothers don't miss out on explaining to him the things that he's trying to act like didn't happen, right? So Judah says, I already did. I said, bet that. Tell him do not mention the call we had with Micaiah. Why am I telling him that? It's not to hide nothing. It's literally because we don't want Joel trying to say that we devised a plan against him. Because that's what brothers will do when they got like kind of a narcissistic type of characteristic, right? They'll play the victim when it's convenient for them to do so, even when there's no victim playing that needs to be done. They might be the aggressor in a situation. So we didn't want him to know that Micaiah and them set up a call because we didn't want him to think like, yo, these brothers just trying to check my pockets, you know. They devising a plan to see how much money I'm making, because that's the type of stuff he was trying to say on the call, right? So we just wanted to keep it between us, and it need to be transparent because you keep saying, and we need to have our own camp, like they need to have their own locations and funds available, because you keep telling everybody that you'll give money when brothers need it, but there was a whole feast of the Lord, Tabernacles, that brothers needed the money for, and you didn't provide it, right? Tabernacles, you're trying to be in the woods and get acclimated with the nature and do what you're supposed to do in your booth, right? Not be going back and forth to Walmart or anything like that. But brothers had to do that because they didn't get the money that they were told that they was going to get from the brother who controls the money, right? So, I mean, that's that. That, by definition, is a mismanagement of funds. If it's not managed and distributed the way that it's said and supposed to be distributed, right? So we're telling them, don't mention the call with Micaiah, all right? Judah says, I, because he gonna tell them that, right? So now, this is a conversation between me and Kano, right? Kano is on the phone with Joel, and he says, I don't know why he said that. I argued with him for 45 minutes because he's telling me about how Micaiah or how Joel is trying to blame Micaiah for this whole thing even happening because of Micaiah being the first person to suggest that each location get their own camp fund, right? So he's blaming Micaiah for the thing happening. That's why I wanted to be on the phone. He probably think we won't agree, so blaming Micaiah won't. Blaming Micaiah will work. but we agree with Micaiah now, right? Because he don't know that Micaiah asked us to get on the phone. So Micaiah already spoke to us. Feel me? He told us where he's coming from. It wasn't no ill will or him trying to check pockets, right? He let us know what the deal actually is. So we're like, okay, we understand, which is why we're going to set up this call on Wednesday, right? This is Monday, December 5th. Okay. So I said SHIT was basically our idea, right? Because I'm talking about the call that we're trying to set up now. You feel? So we get him to agree to this call, and here's the message between me and Kano on Wednesday. The message I showed you between me and Judah and Yakamia and Araya is 9:39. It starts there, right? This is Wednesday, the same day, 8:51. I said the nigga called me and is talking to me right now. Bro, I wanted to talk to you first. I got him talking about my parents to stall because I'm waiting on Kano to get on the phone so that we can make sure that the brothers were going to say what they needed to say. Since Joel called me first and I didn't get to do that, I had to text Judah, which was the reason for those text messages that you saw a minute ago even being there, right? Because we didn't get to talk first like we wanted to. So I could tell them what needs to be said to Joel so we could understand the situation, right? Like how y'all need to talk to him. Don't get mad. Be respectful. Make sure you repeat that you're not trying to check his pocket so he can understand and let it be ingrained in his brain that you're not trying to check his pocket, because that's where he was with it, right? And like I said, sometimes when you got a brother with a narcissistic personality, he might play the victim. So you got to make sure you prevent that from happening, especially when you have to have an important conversation. Kind of like you got to do with a woman, So Wednesday, December 7th, continuing. Kano says, I'm on the SOT call. Y'all gonna add me or no? So now he's on. And then Joel is getting upset. He's getting crazy, right? So I say niggas acting real pious, like we not on the SOT call, right? So he can let you in. He did what we did last time. He did what he did last time, right? And then he said, I called him, but he didn't answer because he's acting away towards us because we talking to him like we really want these brothers to talk. So I don't know if he's feeling like, yo, I want these brothers to check my pockets, but he acting crazy with the other two elders now, which is also making us feel away, right? So this is more conversation between me and Kano the same day, 11:03. Now we're talking about the camp camera. He's trying to tell them in North Carolina that cameras was bought and all this type of stuff. And Kano's like, he didn't buy that camera because Judah went with him to buy it, right? And then I said, yeah, I was just saying that. This also needs to be noted because there's also a lie that was told on this particular call revolving Atlanta camp camera that was never bought, right? But I can't go into that because I don't have the recording of this call to be able to prove that. So at some point, though, there was a talk about a call, right, on a camp camera, or this particular call. It was spoken about a camp camera for Atlanta that was bought with the money that was sent in, which we'll talk about in a moment, because that was part of the problem that we're all here to talk about. So that's the end of the text messages there, right? To prove that these conversations really did indeed happen. So now that we've got that out the way, you guys see that the bank account was in his name, right? All of the accounts, the PayPal, the Cashaps, all that type of stuff, they all went to just him. He's the sole person in control. We have minutes proving that we had to talk about him getting taxed personally because he's the one. The bank account is his, basically. It's his bank account. And the bank account got money coming in. He has a business now tied to this bank account, which will result in him having to pay business taxes, which could result in him being quarterly if you make enough. And he don't want to pay that, especially if you don't have a job at the time. So, and all this stuff we could prove per him in clips saying he don't have a job at the time and all that type of stuff. So, taking all that into account, there's a call that's had after we leave where a lie is made about this particular camp camera. But before we get into the camp camera, I want to make it known, as you saw, there was a brother who sent in that PayPal that I showed you, right? He sent in $100 by himself for the camp camera. There were other brothers that we could prove sent in large amounts of money for the camp camera because we have the brother that can produce the cash apps, right? So we got that. And then we also have this. This is a video on the SOT channel that you can find. Looks like it's been updated because it's only 2 years old now, right? It's a little bit older than that because this video was done and uploaded before we left. And it's got an advertisement at the beginning of it now, right? Which is what Ariella was paying for. You know, the advertisement money that you guys saw on the Cash App to Mr. Ben Famous. Right? So, but for the sake of time, I skipped 16 seconds ahead past the advertisement where they're asking for money to advertise things, which we didn't do when we was in the camp. We weren't allowed to. I actually asked to advertise my credit repair business or my business on, selling cell phones, right? Which brothers in SOT bought from me, or credit whose people in the community I repaired. They could attest to that. And at the time. And we also have the situation where, money was asked for on this video, right? You also see my particular car getting broken into, right? I never wanted my car shown on the camera. I'm not the type that I'm private, like I told y'all. I don't want people knowing what I drive. I have this car still. It's not my main vehicle now, but at the time it was my main vehicle. So after you saw this video, you could have seen me at any time, right, in this car. As you see, it's a fishbowl, so you're going to recognize me and see me in it. You feel what I'm saying? So he put up my vehicle, my personal property, put it to the public without my permission because I had no say in him editing this video. Once again, I don't edit it. He edits all the videos. So this was put up there. And as you're going to see, my car gets broken into. Nothing was taken, but I had to pay for a window. $300 for a window, right? With no tint on it in Atlanta, where they break windows all the time, right? The car that got broken into, where his camp camera and where the camp camera and his Bible were stolen out of his book bag, right? The same day we have a fight at camp with some people that possibly followed us because the only cars that they went to were ours, right? The only thing that they stole was his bag. They go straight to their car and dip off, right? And just break my window as if they know I came with them, which is why I'm parked next to him. So, but that's speculation. I can't prove it. So, but that's that, right? But what I can prove is Yaquab's car, which is the blue car that Joel came in, that was a rental. He had insurance on it. He didn't have to pay for anything that happened to that vehicle. I had to pay for the things that happened to my vehicle. I'm a leader in the camp. And, I didn't get what Joel got. I didn't get no help from the camp. I didn't get no message. Just check this out. This is the, the vending thing that I was told I can't do when I was in the camp. But after I left, now they could advertise and, yeah, it's crazy. Look at this. Unfortunately, brothers of SOT had their cars vandalized. No, a brother in SOT had his car vandalized. That's not Yaquab's car. That's a rental. My car was vandalized, right? Yaqub didn't have to pay no money for that car. He had insurance on it, right? Which I advise everybody to do when you get a rental. Get their insurance, not your own, right? So, but he doesn't mention anything about Eliel, the other brother involved in the vandalization here, right? Brother Yahweh lost his precious Bible and Apocrypha, as well as the camp camera. It's all about Yahweh, right? Eliel car is on video. Yahweh car isn't. Yahweh just lost a damn Bible, bro. A Bible. It ain't our fault you can't remember none of the precepts and you're supposed to be this great teacher. You feel me? So you lost a Bible and a camera. Two things that are replaceable, right? Yeah, the window's replaceable too, but it costs significantly more than a Bible and the camera, right? Well, let's say the camera costs a little bit more than the window, right? Because of who I went to. But if I went to a regular window person, right, it could have easily charged me $500 for the window, which would have been about $42 less than what you paid for the camera. We got the receipt. You feel me? So I didn't get no help. I didn't even get mentioned in this video, and people know that's my car. So that's the selfishness of the brother there too, right? But as you see, PayPal me, SOT Israelites, right? Cashapp, SOT Israelites. So the PayPal and this Cashapp, this isn't the Cashapp I showed you, but it's one that I mentioned, the SOT Israelites one, right? They both go to that bank account. And the PayPal is what I showed you, right? So this is that, right? He's asking for you to PayPal or Cash App to replace his Apocrypha and Bible and the camera, right? Technically, that's what it would be for. Though he says to replace the camera, right? Please donate. I want to make it known people did donate for this camera because my mama sent money for it, right? They even talked about buying a camera for the camp. You feel? I even hit up brother Steve and his daughter to ask if they still had the camera that they used to use. You feel me? Or if he would even be willing to come back out and be the cameraman for us again. These are things I was doing to try to replace the camera. And I didn't even get an honorable mention on the video where he shows my car getting broken into.
And what time was that? 10 what?
10:19.
Watch. You see guys jump straight out this white car right here in V-line straight to Yahweh All's car, the car that he's in. They break into his car, go straight to the passenger, the back passenger side, and take his book bag out the car from where he has the seat bent. Right? How do they know to go straight to the car if they weren't watching us? Just my speculation. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. They ain't touched none of the other cars in the parking lot.
So he got the green
There you
hoodie,
go right there.
got the flashlight,
He goes to my car.
got gloves on, pants all the way down.
I ain't got nothing in my car, right? I got a fishbowl. Now they're going to get into his car.
You look at him now.
He busted my window, though, as you can see, right? So just busted my window, didn't take none, didn't even reach in it. Now he's in Joel's car, or Yaquab's rental, rather. One brother's hiding here, keeping watch, right? And on his way out, he's going to bust this window. This is the glass that we saw initially that let us know a car had been broken into. And why by the time they got to the car, we like, oh, damn, they got us too. And that's how it happened. We call the police. Police does a police report. But only Yahweh All gets the money for the things that was lost in the car because Yaquab didn't have to pay for nothing. He didn't lose nothing. It wasn't his vehicle. But my vehicle got vandalized. I had to pay for a window. And I didn't even get mentioned, even though my car is seen getting vandalized. Only Yahweh All, the brother that edits the video, who gets the money for the PayPal, right? Got access to this and got help from the nation.
He done bust my window. He in my car. He got a bag.
So he did the driver's
They got the bag. They took off.
side.
Yeah, the passenger.
Passenger side, rather.
Mm-hmm. They put the bag. And they gone.
That's terrible. That is so
Okay. So that's that. Just wanted to show you guys that. All right. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and get into this recording so you guys can hear the lie that was told to, correct the narrative that's been told that I told a lie that made brothers leave the camp. No, I gave an accusation that the brother proved to be false. I apologize for the accusation. There was a claim that was made that I was able to prove happened regarding my parents. I had witnesses that came on call and everything to prove it, right? One of which inadvertently was Zabak because he admitted that it happened. And then, even though Shalpar lied and said it didn't, but regardless of that, Joel was, required to apologize per the elders. He gave an apology and then took it back, which is bad, and it's recorded. So he owes me an apology and my parents an apology, still presently as it stands. And then he lied and said that I made a lie that caused the camp to split when it was actually him. So now I'm going to let you guys hear it. Salakia for how I sound. I don't sound as clear as I did a minute ago, but I had to move the mic so that y'all could hear what's about to be played. All right. So listen carefully Get your popcorn ready. I'll still be kind of commentating a little bit, but I want y'all to hear what's going on. All right. So let's go.
Come to all you brothers, okay? Hey, look, hey, I don't want y'all with all. Hey, he's on an important phone call. Hey, he's gonna address you brothers. All right, here in a minute, okay? Hey, brothers will understand. Hey, what's going on based off the recent events, okay, and the recent departures. All right, of some of our brothers in our leadership, okay? All right, so I know a lot of brothers are anxious. All right, this, that, and the third. All right, but we want you brothers to be patient. Okay, having open ear, all right, and if you have questions following, what Adawan addresses you brothers, feel free to ask, but just make sure, you do things, in a diligent and respectful way. Okay, use tact. You brothers know what that word means, tact. Yes, sir. I heard that word. Con had a one. All right, con. Y'all give I don't want to hear a couple of seconds. All right, and he'll be all here in a minute. All right. Hey, Adawan. Hey, go ahead, King. This is Soldier Jabal. I just want to make sure Adawan had gotten my number. I called him while going through roll call. Okay, hey, I'm not sure. Okay, when Malachi gets back on here, just address that. I know who you are when you speak. That's why you got the name you got, King. All right. And this when Malachi get back on, we'll start with you, brother. I already had your number locked in, right? I blocked in, and I wanted to make sure I had brother's name locked in. Hey, Shalom, Adawan. Shalom. Yeah, but Shemia Shabrakatah. Jehovah Hashem, Jehovah Shabrakatah. Hey, where's DTA? DTA on the call? He's here. All praise. Shalom now. How you doing, Kate? I think he said he on the call, but you can't see. Okay. Yep.
I'm gonna put some out there for you, right? The reason DTA can't talk, shout out to DTA Twan, DTA Nadab, the Deaf to America brother himself, right? So, my good brother DTA at the time, right, on this good day, the feast of dedication, right? I was actually out looking for a camp spot. We had already left, right? I'm out looking for a camp spot for our new camp. We hadn't had a name yet. At the time, I think we was gonna be called like Malak Gabarium, right? The King's Warriors. And we kept coming out with like all these different names and it was we had names. And Anointed came into play, right? I wanted that to be in the name, and then brothers start talking about the Saints, and we eventually came up with the name, right? But at this particular time, we didn't even have a name yet. So we had thought about joining Yahweh's camp, which there are elders. Shout out to the brothers of Yahweh's camp, the elders at Yahweh's camp, Zaquan, Yakanan, right? And the brothers out there, shout out to y'all. But instead, we just decided to make them our elders, and we did our thing, right? With their blessing and everything. And they helped us structure the camp and all that type of stuff. Gave us good counsel. And so that was that. But I just wanted to point it out there, right? I was actually on this call. The reason DTA can't speak is because I'm at his house talking to him. I was looking for a camp spot this day, and I got IBSD. I had to use the bathroom. I hit up Twan because I'm like 5 minutes from his crib. He let me in. And when I get out the bathroom, he's on a call. And they give him roll call. And I'm like, yo, what's this? What y'all doing? Y'all having a meeting today or something? He's like, yeah, they supposed to be telling us why y'all left. I'm like, what? For real? I'm staying for this. Can I stay? So the brother Hezekiah was over there, right, with Israel. They stayed with DTA because it was feast dedication. So all of us are over there at the crib now. They put themselves on mute. They listening to whatever the brothers are saying. And DTA can't talk. He texts him, I can't talk right now because me, him, and Hezekiah are having a conversation as to why I'm no longer in the camp. I felt it was no reason to not say it because I'm thinking they're gonna be told the truth on this call. Right? It's no reason to lie about it. Nigga, we told to vote. Brothers didn't like that. It led to other things, and brothers left. Right? So, he don't have to say anything about the personal issues brothers had, nothing like that. So that's how I thought it was gonna be, and it turns out it didn't really go like that, which I'm glad I stayed. But at this point, once I say I'm gonna stay, I hit up Judah and Jonathan and stuff, and we decide, yo, we need to record this. So we have brothers recording, right? And brothers that were on, right, like soldiers, asked specific questions, right? So they had their own questions. You're gonna hear Yawasop ask questions, right, pertaining to the camera and why the money wasn't used for what it was used for. And you're gonna hear very disparaging and distasteful answers to those questions, right? You're gonna hear Kadar Haran ask what the dues are even for, because one of the things that SOT's always taught is that we're supposed to be paying dues to get a school, and well, the Anointed House of Saints have a school, right? We got a headquarters for our biggest group of people, which is North Carolina, and soon we'll be getting locations in other places, right? But as far as I know, up until this point anyway, the making of this video, SOT still has no school, and they have more men than us, and I'm sure they have more money in their fund than us because they get donations and we don't, right? So like we don't get no super chats. We don't even have a account linked for that type of stuff, if I'm not mistaken. So like they got money coming in still. We don't. So we know they got more money than us, but we still have a school and they don't. Never mind. So yeah, this is what you're gonna hear in this call today, right? And Tico is gonna ask some questions, right? Brother Karatazar, Officer Karatazar, right? And our officer, right? He's a brother, a soldier in this camp at the time. So yeah, he asked some good questions, right? That might have been coached by Judah, may or may not have been. So, but he admits to being told what's going on. And even then, brothers don't really want to be honest and forthcoming with what's being said and expressed in this recording. So listen carefully to the lies that are told, or the deception that's told, or the misspoken that is, the misspeaking that is spoken, if you will. Because some brothers will say, oh, we didn't lie, we just misspoke. Well, there's a lot of misspeaking happening, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get into it.
Yo, how many captains we got on here? This Captain Malachi. Has your own Malachi. Yeah, Club. Captain Nehemiah. All right. That's 7, including you, 8. The elder. What's the reason for the other brothers not? Yeah. Did they get one? Let me see.
Let me fast forward a little bit.
We really only missed it. You'll see that this is one of the more involved lessons with the most reading. It's a lot of reading, almost as much reading as Passover. Sure. We really only missed it. One brother, but we really only missed it. Easter dedication is one of the hardest lessons to teach. So you new brothers that watch the lesson, we will be live with it on the Facebook and the YouTube. I believe if we got enough streaming tools, you'll see that this is one of the more involved lessons with the most reading. It's a lot of reading, almost as much reading as Passover. So it's challenging, but we're gonna get it done. Brothers had a great camp yesterday. The spirit is moving, but I know y'all brothers' morale might be.
Just to let you know why he was talking about the Bible and it being challenging, he had just finished saying that he's at a huge handicap without his precepts, right? So that's why I said what I said about him. It's just the Bible, right? But he put, and y'all have heard him stress about it. He still talk about losing that Bible. So It's stuff like that, right? I'm gonna just see that.
Tainted because brothers backed away from the camp. And I know y'all see on social media, there's some disrespect going around. And the Bible says, reveal not a secret to another, but go to your neighbor himself. A lot of brothers don't believe in that.
As you saw via text message, because there was way more instances than that, but I have proof to show that I went to him secretly by himself to explain the situation with my parents. Right? We got a call for brothers to come secretly, right, with mediation, separate from the other captains, right, to have their talk with y'all all about their suggestions and stuff like that. So brothers did go to him and tell him what their grievance was, what they thought about whatever was going on, right? We made those things known, okay? So we spoke about all the different things that happened, all the different things, you know, and we came to him face to face with the problems that we had. He just chose to ignore them, right? So he can't say that we don't agree with that.
And a lot of brothers got their reasons. And I'm just be real with you. A lot of brothers got their reasons for why they're doing something that only the Most High can explain. Or you would have to have it mediated and with an audience for brothers to really draw it out of them what's on their spirit and why they're doing this or why they're doing that. Okay?
Which we did. That's what the personal counsel was for. It was a mediation, right, with elders, experienced men that were able to mediate the conversation. It was just so much stuff going on in that council that everything didn't get talked about, which is why the judgment went a certain way, as Little Red Riding Hood was saying, right? Kahari. Because this particular situation that we're, you know, going over today, if you guys listen to the council and recall it, little man, this didn't come to a conclusion on the council. So there were things we brought up that didn't even come to conclusion. We let that slide, right? Truth be told, they wanted there to be a part 2, but we decided not to because it was like, why? Right? So when I say they, I'm talking about the elders. So, but yet and still, right, we stayed quiet, even though we could have put this out a long time ago, but we didn't, right? And brothers still wanted to talk about it. So now y'all are going to get to hear why brothers actually left.
And good luck with that. You'll find that in leadership situations, you're not always going to have brothers cooperate. So it's just some important things I need to tell you. Listen.
You're not always going to have brothers cooperate, i.e., you're not always going to have brothers agree with whatever he wants, because he wanted to be the sole leader the whole time, right? He wanted us to always conform to the things he wants. Now he gets that because he's the only one in the camp that has any pull and power, right? He got what he wanted at the end of the day. He should be happy, not mad. Smile, brother.
This is volunteer work. Sons of Thunder Israelites is a volunteer camp. None of you brothers was compelled, and none of you brothers was commanded to take this walk with us. Do we love you and happy that you're with us? Hell yeah. That's the kind of brotherhood you join. We cool guys. Even your leadership, we make ourselves as one of you. You're not better than you. That's something that's just the spirit of Sons of Thunder. We make ourselves joyous with all of our brethren. We don't separate ourselves like some places where the soldiers is on this level and the senior men is over here. And you gotta come down when they crouching. We don't really build this camp with that type of spirit. We built it like we brothers. We do this together. And brothers gonna fight. Brothers gonna disagree. But it's diplomatic.
So here he's saying it's okay for brothers to fight and brothers to disagree. The same thing I was saying earlier, right? You see how hypocrisy come back around? Right? It's crazy. So now, as of a month ago and last week, it could be this way or it could be that way. But back then, he was saying brothers fight. It should be diplomatic. We did the diplomatic thing. We went on the council and had the council, right? First and fought on the council. It was said that apologies need to be given to squashes so brothers could reconcile. And everybody gave an apology but your ass, which is why we didn't reconcile. My G. You heard? Yeah.
If brothers don't see the vision and want to do something else, They are grown men who have been properly instructed through Sons of Thunder, Prospect, and Soldier program, and as you see, Captain's program. These brothers know how to teach the doctrine. They know how to order a camp situation. When you become a captain in Sons of Thunder, that is your privilege. You can teach on your own because you are certified in the eyes of the organization that you know what you're doing. So, brothers,
and then he says, we know what we're doing. So, you know we're going to teach, right? Right? And I would say we do know what we're doing, which is why we didn't come up with that horrendous John 1 doctrine, right? Had we still been in the camp, SOT wouldn't have came out with that John 1 doctrine. I guarantee it, right? But that's a conversation for another time. We will leave that there.
well within their rights to go and do their own thing. All right? I think that they would teach correctly. I think that their message would be proper.
And brother, I agree. That I actually agree with. And Most High will, we continue to teach proper, and it continues to be a message that, you know, is agreeable with the scriptures, the Most High, and the spirit of Yahushua. By Shema Mashiach Yahushua.
Does that mean I think that their organization skills and community team building skills are on par? No, because you do not quit.
We didn't quit. We still here. We just changed the name. It's no longer Sons of Thunder. We're the Anointed House of Saints. We don't wear black. We wear blue. Right? We went from GD to Crip, if you want to keep it carnal, right? Since niggas is carnal. So, like, yeah, that's what it is, right? We ain't quit. And as far as our organization skills and team building, right? We have a school. What? Never mind.
On your team. You're dedicated to your team. And if you are going to quit, it needs to be a viable reason. If it's an emotional reason, that's a flaw in yourself.
That was a shot at me. He said he don't take slick shot. Yeah, no. It wasn't an emotional reason. I wasn't emotional about my parents' situation. I stayed in the camp with you after all that time, right? Started the camp with you after all that time. It just, the camp was a job, right? I'm doing work of the Lord, right? The compensation that I hope to get at the end of the day is my penny. You feel? So, like, it's a job. I don't have to like everybody at my job. Truth be told, I hate most of the Edomites that I work with now. So it's like I don't have to like you to work there, right? And that's how I felt SOT was. That's why I wasn't at all the parties they was at all the get-togethers they was at, and all that different thing. Because, well, you know, I just was a little bit different. That's all.
If you've been disrespected, you go to a brother and say, I feel this was disrespect.
And I showed you we did that.
And the brother has the burden to either apologize or be proud.
And he showed you he proud and didn't want to apologize. It's recorded on record, right? This is his words. You're not supposed to be a hypocrite in the sight of men.
These are the only two things he can do. Because you don't even get to tell a brother that. If a brother say, I feel you disrespected me, you don't get to disregard that. If you feel you didn't do nothing wrong.
So if a brother tell you that he feels and his parents feel y'all disrespected when you took part in allowing his parents to have to be sent outside and you ain't doing nothing about it, and you ain't apologize for them technically being your guests because they didn't know shower par from Adam, right? Still really don't. So like they was your guest at the feast day. I was the one at HOI with you, right? I had only met shower par 2 times up to that point, right? So both times was at camp. So it's like, we ain't talking, having personal conversations at camp, so I ain't know him. We just talking about, like, we talking the Bible. We have a camp talking to other people, not to each other. So it's like, I ain't know him. My parents didn't know him. Nobody knew him, right? Even the brothers that was in HOI Atlanta didn't know Shaw Park like that, which is why we all chose to go with you. Make sense? So, like, I mean, that's what happened. You feel me? You decided not to make the apology, even though brothers told you they was offended. Don't that make you a hypocrite? Where them elders at that was trying to accuse us of stuff? Why ain't y'all? Never mind. You know, keep your judgment fair and impartial to the rest of the Israelites in the community. That's how we're supposed to judge, right?
Still got to acknowledge that he's still disrespected. That's what we teach around here. But for brothers to just back away.
He said they teach that you're supposed to acknowledge when a brother is disrespected. The brothers that's in his camp, the Yaquabs, the Maiakias, the Nehemiahs, Arias. I know all y'all heard the counsel, right? Y'all know that he offended me with my parents. I spoke to some of y'all about the situation before I left. So, in fact, everybody I mentioned, I know I spoke to about the situation before I left. Maybe with the exception of Yaquab. But everybody else know about that situation pertaining to my parents because I told you about it, right? So y'all know I'm offended about that. Because y'all heard the counsel, y'all know that he took back the apology that he was ordered to give on the council. And y'all have not rebuked the brother per what y'all teach, according to what he just said. That would make all of you hypocrites. You're not supposed to be hypocrites in the sight of men. You're not supposed to be underlings to foolish men. And hypocrites are some foolish MFs, right?
With no explanation and to pull a stunt by going in the soldiers' trap and back away. That's a strategic message. And that message is, you brothers, you soldiers, that's my friends. I'm leaving. Y'all come with me. That's why that was done. All right?
That's not why that was done. I'm a founder of the camp. I had a better relationship with niggas in the camp than you did. I spoke to them more than you did. Talked to them more than you did, right? If that was the point, everybody would have left, nigga. Everybody that was cool with the people in the camp is with us. All the personable brothers that hit folks up is with us. So if that was the case, everybody would have left. That was not the reasoning, and you know that. The messages, which we can prove, we have them, right? Didn't say nothing other than goodbye. Y'all hit us like hit us back. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't nothing to sow discord or, cause any schism in the body. We didn't do that. What's causing schism in the body is what you're doing right now by trying to make it seem like we had some ill will or ill intent. It's just all these non-biblical things that biblical brothers are supposed to be doing, or that supposedly biblical brothers aren't doing, I should say.
That's why that was done. It worked. Brothers in the chat, yo, we need explanation. What's this? Why is the camp falling apart?
It worked because they want to know why we left. Shouldn't they get to know why we left? Ain't that what the call for? So why you acting like it's a problem for us to make it known that we leaving? Was you never going to tell them why we left?
This shit. Since this camp has been created, we started with 8 brothers. We started with 8 brothers in 2018. Out of those 8 brothers,
we started with
only
7.
1 remains.
We started with 7 brothers in 2018. I showed you guys the picture. You don't even know how many niggas we started with. Because all he cares about is the 1 brother that remains. That's all he ever cared about.
But you still got 12 captains. Out of the 8 brothers that started the camp, only 1 remains. But you still got 12 captains. So how is the camp falling apart? Because a few of your captains retired and took some soldiers with them.
We didn't retire. We went to go, fight for another army, if you will, right? We realized America is, a nation divided within itself and against itself, right? It can't stand. So is SOT after you vetoed the vote. So niggas left and allowed y'all to be able to stand on your one leg, yours, right? So that was it. It shouldn't be like, I don't understand. Why you mad? You get to stand on your leg, right? Stand on your square. The camp is yours. You get to do whatever you want with it. Shouldn't be a problem. Everybody got what they wanted, right? We have each location got ways for them to do their thing, right? We have a set way that we do our money. We got a website. We got ways for brothers to donate. We got school, right? Things is how we want it, per our management and team building skills. Yes.
You overreacting. For the brothers that ain't stressing it like that, what you need to be focusing on is learning this doctrine, man. You need to be in these.
I agree. That is what y'all should have been focused on instead of focused on talking to us on the internet. If y'all would have been focused on learning that doctrine, that John 1 doctrine, probably never mind.
Classes, and you need to learn from this that, hey, there's a right and a wrong way to do things. But one thing that we can't do is be emotional. We can't have emotional decisions. Am I?
That's right. You cannot make emotional decisions, right? So when you make the decision off your emotions to lie in public about another brother lying and that being the reason why niggas left the camp, make sure brothers don't got evidence of why niggas actually left the camp. Okay. Let me see where I want to go with this. Well, let's just
Calling brothers faggots? Am I calling brothers out their name, bitches? Am I calling brothers out of their character, weak, soft? No. Not doing that.
You know when you do that, when niggas from Jersey and New York and stuff like that do that, they saying, am I doing this? And then they say the thing that they want to call you. Am I calling brothers out their name, bitches? Am I saying brothers is like am I talking about brothers' character weak? Like you're telling the brothers what you think about us while saying you ain't telling the brothers what you think about us. And these is all grown ass men, so they can read between the lines. Like they not stupid. You think we the reason they left, or you think now they actually got to see how they Ottawa is for real? Huh? You know, these are things y'all got to think about, right? Everybody blaming me. Nobody blaming the person who's on this recording right now. I'm listening to it, but I ain't say a goddamn thing the whole time, right?
Brothers have their reasons. But to come into the soldiers chat, and to invoke an emotional response is an emotional action. I don't respect it. I would never do that.
But he will text brothers behind our back. He will make a public spectacle on Clubhouse, Salakia, and then say he never does public spectacles ever. He will throw subliminal shots in the multiple videos on the Friday class, right? So there are things he will do.
You never see me do that. If me personally,
we have seen him do those.
If I said one day I'm gonna stop doing the work, I would never stifle my brothers that helped me build this thing.
But you will spiteful your brothers from allowing them to see the camp fund and have transparency. That seems a lot less important than doing. I don't know.
And gave their time, they volunteered time. I would never do that. All right. I would talk to them personally, and I would try to leave with a graceful departure, if that was ever a possibility. Because I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna be at Woodruff Park dealing with them demons till the Lord say you can't do that no more. That's it. You know why? Because I love this truth and I love this work, and I believe we the Israelites, and I believe that we supposed to be doing this. That's why I made it a part of my life. All right, and I hope you brothers had the same conviction. Okay, so out of respect for brothers' questions and concerns, we had this meeting. There was a talk.
More lies about to begin. Now he's about to talk, right? Mind you, remember I told you guys about the meeting we had, the first meeting about the camp dudes, right? This is what he's going to try to explain to the brothers that he vetoed that us captains got mad about. I want to stress once again, this was agreed upon by me and Kano. This was not what brothers were upset about that made them, get mad. For real, for real. The veto that made brothers upset was the veto that should never been allowed to happen. The veto for the vote that even me and Kano were on the side of, which was the transparency and each location getting their own camp fund. He vetoed that by himself, against the bylaws, against the camp rules, against how we do things when we structured and founded the camp. That's why he's by himself. And then he lied on top of it, right? Which is why soldiers left. Huh?
About raising dues. I vetoed that with the help of other brothers who are no longer here.
You see? So he said raising dues was what we vetoed. We did. But that's not the veto he should be talking about. The one he should be talking about, he's not even going to mention, as if it never happened. I guess if you don't say it, you ain't lie, right?
I don't know why they no longer here, but he agreed that.
That's a damn lie. You know why we no longer there, my nigga.
No.
You told Kano I'm not your brother before this call happened. But you don't know why I'm not there?
We're not going to veto your dues. We're not going to raise our dues. And we're going to go back to the original model of the camp, which is there is no minimum due. You brothers give what you can, when you can. We'd like you to do it regularly every month, but Babylon is a difficult place. And the camp that I designed with these men, the camp that they joined.
He almost forgot to say with these men. And me and Kano ain't joined the camp. We started.
At no minimum due. And we had more than we have now. You command the brother to give 20, he gives you 20 when he would have gave you 100 because he want to help. But since you commanded him, he gave the minimum. We don't believe in that. And after thinking about it and pondering it, we're going back to the old way. If you brothers want to keep your Patreon membership, you can do it. And if you brothers want to continue to donate whatever, you can do it. But if you ain't got it this month, you're not wicked for that. Because that's how life be. The scriptures tell you, the woman who gave 2 pence gave more than everyone else because she gave of her want and not her surplus. And I believe in that. And money, I think, was one of the issues. Brothers did not understand how to manage money, and they didn't see the vision for that management.
Money was the issue. Now, this is him subliminally telling them what happened, but he ain't going to tell them what happened. See, money was the issue. And we didn't see your vision for how you thought that money should be managed, right? We know how to manage money. We got a school. But, conversation for another time. So, like, us managing money, right? That got us a school, and the team building skills that we had that contributed to that, right? Is what gave us the suggestions, right? That we gave you that would have made us all stay in the camp. Because that suggestion, right, would have made it possible for us to get a school for SOT, right? That thing would have been checked off the box. Would have had the money to get a camp camera for every location. That would have been checked off the box. The only thing that would have happened that probably would have been non-beneficial to you is that all of the money of the camp would have been no longer just going to you. That's it. Everything else would have been great. You know what I mean? So yeah, we didn't see your vision for how the money should be managed. We had our own vision. We made that vision known. We voted on the vision. The vote passed, and then you vetoed it. That's what happened.
I still see that vision. Very successful camp.
And you get to keep that vision, right? A very successful camp. Been famous camp, right?
Famous camp in Israel. A little small camp, but a famous camp in Israel because of all the work that y'all do and the way y'all carry yourselves, man. And
he wants the fame because he's been famous, right? I want the money. Money in the car. The cars in the club. Yeah. Conversation for another time.
Thank you, man. I just got off the phone with Naquam of WFI calling to build me up because he see what's going on and he see the disrespect and he applauded me for my character and not being responsive to that and still requesting of me more humility.
We heard they had a conversation, but we ain't allegedly. It didn't go exactly how he's saying it went. It wasn't just a build-up session where he need to use a little bit more humility.
I didn't tell Naquam I'm older than you. I didn't tell Naquam you ain't in my camp. You don't tell me what to do.
Why would he need to say that if Naquam just called him to build him up? If he wasn't rebuking you in any way, shape, or form, Why would the thought even come to your head? Hey, Naquan, why are you talking to me like that? Naquan, I'm older than you. Why would you need to tell the brothers that you didn't say that if he was just calling to build you up? I know they couldn't think about these things when their little the hamster wheels was moving because they was in real time having to decipher through your bull crap. But, you know, that's a question I would have asked if I was able to speak on the call as a soldier, you know.
I accepted his wisdom because when a man says something wise, you commend it and you add to it.
You accepted his wisdom? Really?
That's what the Bible said. And he was right. Humble yourself even more, Yahweh. I said, I will do that. These brothers that left, they want you to call them and ask them why they left.
Did you call us and ask us why we left, Yahweh? So you took his advice?
Do it. I know you feel like, why should I do that? I didn't quit on them. But
nah, he didn't do it, y'all. Because he feel like, why should I do that? I didn't quit on them. We didn't quit on you. You did quit on us when you didn't uphold the vote, nigga. When you vetoed something against the bylaws and the camp rules, Negro. You did quit on us. You decided, I'm not going to be a team player. I'm not going to be a team builder. I'm not going to be the money manager. I'm going to be Joel. And to hell with you all. So we went to heaven.
do it
Anointed.
anyway, Yahweh. So the Most High can exalt you more. That was the counsel from a beloved brother out of nowhere, calling me, asking me what's going on. Because he loved brothers. He loved this camp. Naquan is a beloved brother. And
He is. We spoke to Naquan too. Shout out to the brother Naquan. Shout out to Boaz. Shout out to Araya. Shout out to Gabar Allah. Shout out to all of the brothers of the Watchmen, man. My good brother Bobby. Shout out to everybody. Right?
he does great work with WFI. And he's
Yazarak.
right. Humility is always the answer. And I try to be humble and set a good example. So I don't think more of myself than I should. And I don't want none of the captains thinking more of themselves than they should just because they're captain. And that's why we don't treat y'all like no flunkies. It could be different, trust me.
He said, because it could be different. Trust me. Right? I don't know how it is now. I ain't going to speak on it because I ain't there. But all right, man. Let's fast forward a little bit. All righty. So now y'all heard all that, right? Y'all can hear,
you in the chat.
y'all can hear where we going with this.
So things that need to stay in house need to stay in house. There don't need to be no messy behavior. You know, in SOT, we've never been the type to do any kind of messy activity.
Now, I want to play this part because Nehemiah is the brother that was on that call with brothers, right? He know why brothers left. I had my own conversations with Nehemiah when I left. He was a soldier under me, right? A captain that I voted to get raised up and stuff like that. You feel me? I had to give his name and bring it forth for him to become the captain that he is now in SOT. Wasn't nobody else, right? So he was on the call. He know why we left. And he's trying to tell brothers, if you find out anything, keep it in-house. Why? If it wasn't nothing big time, if it wasn't nothing that would make brothers look bad if it got out, why do they got to just keep it in-house, right? And then what's crazy is Joel didn't keep nothing in the house. He got videos, as y'all saw earlier, with him trying to tell everybody business.
We're not females and we're not effeminate, okay? And I'm not accusing anybody of being effeminate on this call right now. I'm just saying.
He had to throw that out there because some of y'all, never mind.
And going forward, you know, you can, stay in contact with brothers. We love everybody. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of how we feel, SOT business is SOT business. So when it comes to SOT business, you need to hold it close to your chest. Take it seriously. You know what I'm saying? Because
and what's messed up is a lot of y'all that said y'all was gonna keep in contact with us, y'all did not keep in contact with us. Y'all allowed the narratives that brothers were pushing and y'all can't to cloud y'all judgment. You know what I'm saying? And you never hit us back up. You know what I mean? Some of y'all unfriended us on social media and everything. Because y'all all did it. And he did it because he didn't know if we was ever going to talk. Well, you got your wish now, buddy.
Work is important, and a lot of brothers is putting a lot into this work. And we're doing it for the people, like Adawan Yaquab just said. So you need to hold it important, and you know what I'm saying? It's not a game. You got to treat it precious because this thing can be fragile if you're being loose with your mouth. I believe the scriptures say your tongue can put out a fire or it can also burn something down. So hold your tongue. I yield.
I wish y'all all would have took that advice.
Hey, Shalom. Shalom, Hakim. Hey, my bad. Who was that? No, you got the outward. Hey, all right. Hey, Shalom, Hakim. How about you, Shack? Hey, and one of the greatest things that I don't want y'all will all refresh me on, okay, in this whole matter is man's goings of the Lord, okay, Proverbs 20 and 24, all right, and these brothers, okay, who departed, they don't belong to us, they belong to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, okay, and just like the brother Nehemiah just said, okay, just because these brothers, okay, have moved on to do other things, okay, doesn't mean that they're not your brother anymore. Okay? You know, and don't wreck yourself like Bob just mentioned with trying to figure out why brothers left, this, that, and the third. Okay, it affects my spirit as well. Okay, it affects all of our spirits. All right? But we got to remember 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 16 and Isaiah. Okay, what is that? Isaiah 55. And we don't know the mind. Okay, we don't know the mind of the Most High. His thoughts are greater than our thoughts. Okay,
You're right. We don't know the mind of the Most High. His thoughts are greater than our thoughts, right? And we thought that if we just be quiet, we wouldn't have to do what we're doing right now. But apparently, we thought wrong, right? So I was gonna play a little bit more of that, but we're gonna fast forward just a little bit for the sake of time.
forward to one way. I'm gonna give you that. There's only one way to deal with that. If you hear Brother Shaikwa did this, that, and the third, or Brother that, and the third. If you hear that, or you involved in the conversation that pertains to that, you must. This is how you answer. Did you call Captain such and such and tell him the same thing you told me? That's it. Leave it at that. You don't gotta go back and forth. You don't have to agree or disagree. Did you call Captain such and such, or brother such and such, and tell him what you told me, how you feel right now? And if you haven't, I think you should, because you need to get that off your chest.
So Yaquab just gave him good advice, right? Basically, whatever you hear, you need to go back and clarify with brothers. If they got a problem with a brother and they hit you up talking about, hey, you know, brother Yaquab did this, that, and the third, say, I said that. He's telling them to tell me to hit up brother Yaquab, right? This message is going to be pushed, right? And regurgitated by other brothers on this call as we go on, right? And it's going to transform into from if you hear brothers talking about us, tell them to just tell us what they want us to hear ourselves, right? It's going to transform from that to whatever the brothers told you as to why they left, go ask them themselves because we ain't going to say why. Tonight he's telling them to go ask us why we left. You don't think we're going to be more willing to tell them after we hear this call? Keep that in mind.
Period. Don't be bickering. Don't be going back and forth with it. Don't be out of your two cents because every story got three sides. You got his side, and this gets the dog brother. So you got a brother side, you got another brother side, and then you got the truth of the matter.
So far, you guys have heard Joel's side. Tonight, you're hearing our side, right? And then you got the truth of the matter. Y'all can determine what's the truth of the matter. Did the camp leave because I told them something that we couldn't prove on a council that they wasn't even on, that we followed, and our brothers that are in the camp that weren't in leadership have never heard the council, so they don't even know what was said on it? Did they leave because of something they never heard? Or did they leave because of something they hear you saying right now on this call that they're all on, nigga? Okay.
So you can't be one side if you're hearing different things, right? I don't think brothers would do that, but if it came to know how to deal with that. Don't get involved in the gossip. Don't be a talebearer, like what is already brought up.
Yeah. Some brothers in his camp did not take their captain's advice. All right.
Press *6 if you want to ask a question. I'm gonna give y'all a minute to get in the queue. If nobody got any questions, nobody got any questions. But there's so many of y'all, Talaki is not gonna work. So we're gonna just do a Q&A for brothers that have any questions, and your captains and leadership is gonna take these questions. All right.
So now the brothers get to ask questions. Here we go.
Right, starting now. Q&A.
This is Kadar Aharon, okay? Kadar is about to ask questions about the dues that we pay.
Consistent on a monthly basis, and I also sign up for the Patreon. Where are the dues? Where are they for? And I also, I did come down for Tabernacles, but I paid for myself and my family. I did request a refund because I just wanted that to be a part of the camp. But I wanted brothers that are consistently donating to be more aware of what the dues are going towards. Because, I mean, it's my personal business. I don't want to put my personal business out there, but financially, I'm not in a great place right now. I was, but I'm not now. So when I do need help, and I do want to reach out to brothers, I want to, at least be acknowledged. Does that make sense? Like, will I be able to be acknowledged? Will I be able to be helped out if I request that? Yes, that's the camp that you're a part of. Your dues pay for.
So if you missed it, Kadar Haran is asking for a refund, correct? Or to say that he is in a tough spot, but he didn't ask for a refund for certain things that he put up, like the camp camera money and stuff, because he be donating every month, which we can attest to, because we got the receipts, because Judah got the cash apps, right? So we can attest that he was a donator frequently, right? He donated like $100 every time he donated or whatever. So he was donating pretty good money, right? And the brother's asking like, what are the dues for? Because he got a family, right? And he's literally trying to figure out like, yo, mind you, this is a man with 2 wives at the time, right? Kids, a house, right? So he got to provide, and he's giving money, taking it from his family and the mouths that he has to feed to give to a camp, and don't even know what the money's being used for, right? So he's asking if he ever needs help, would the camp be able to help him? Joel says yes.
The organization to operate and run. What you guys.
And then he says that the money you send is to help the organization and the operation run. The money you send.
Pay for it doesn't cover what it costs to get it to you.
The money you send forward doesn't cost the things. The money you send doesn't cost the amount of the things that they buy you to ship it to you, right? To send it forward. So he's trying to say that they can't, like, even though brothers are sending in money, the money that they're sending in is less money than what, is required for the things that he's buying. Well, by default, wouldn't that be a money mismanagement? You're requiring that the camp buy things for brothers that the camp can't afford. So you're saying when we start the camp, or when brothers come into the camp, they get a hoodie, or they get a shirt, Salakia, a Bible, an Apocrypha, and a Strong's Concordance. And you're saying that now they're giving that money, and the money doesn't even cover the price of all that stuff, right? So by definition, the fact that you're still requiring that, still offering that as an option, and you're the only person that controls the money, that would be money mismanagement, sir. Another thing, the fact that money, right, that's coming out of brothers' pockets is going to that, fund for that stuff. And I mean, it used to be, according to what we were told when we were the captains and the elders of the camp, that we used to come away with a surplus, right? Enough for the brother to make at least one donation, for the money left over to be money for his first donation for the camp, right? Because there was typically money left over. So he tells us that there's money left over when they give donations, and that there's a surplus that goes into the camp fund. But he tells the soldiers that there's no money that's left over. In fact, the stuff that they use the money for uh, costs more than the money that he requires of them. So isn't that money mismanagement by definition? That means you're just buying stuff with the camp fund that the camp can't afford for soldiers, which means the camp fund is going to deplete faster because you're not covering the cost of the things you're buying. Isn't that, by definition, mismanagement of funds? Question mark.
Cost more than brothers pay. Your clothes, shirts, books cost more than what you pay. The same hoodie costs more than what you pay because you got.
So he's saying all this stuff costs more than what you pay. Why are you buying the stuff that costs more than what we pay? You're the person buying it.
Buy the hoodie, and then we got to ship it to you. It's overhead to run an organization, and as members, y'all support the organization. But if brothers need help, the organization is there to help you. And we one of the camps that help our brothers. Brothers need to get out of jail. We've done it. Brothers needed help getting to work, making their rent. We've done it. And we don't have like Sirach says, we're not quick to ask you to return that either. We give freely with an open heart because you brothers are helping us do this thing. All right? The goal is to get a school and a headquarters. You got to build towards that.
Oh, a school and a headquarters that they still don't have. But that's the goal. Remember that.
Other camps much larger that have just gotten schools.
And there's other camps much smaller that got a school within a year of their inception. What's the deal, Bill?
We're a small camp. As of right now, I think we have 54 brothers. Everybody's not able to give it.
He said 54 brothers. We got like 26.
Equally, and that's why I'm going back to the original design, which is still in y'all bylaws, that there is no minimum due. I think I updated it though when brothers changed it to 20. I think I changed the PDF. But we're going back to that. Because this is not a bill. Being a part of the organization is not another bill you gotta pay. You gotta give us freedom of your desire. Do me a favor. Can any of the captains read? I want to read the scripture because this is why the design of the camp was like that. Go to Mark chapter 12 and start at verse 41. And while I'm talking to y'all, I lost my Bible. My Bible has all of my lessons for these days completely marked. I'm at a super
More on the Bible. Goodness gracious.
handicap with dedication because I don't have none of my precepts. But
I thought you was this big Bible teacher. Shouldn't you know the Bible? I could pick up any Bible and I'm straight because I know the Bible. Like, I know where stuff at. The Bible is the same. You got to have your precepts in the Bible to be able to teach a lesson. Like, that's crazy, bro. For you to know what you say you know, what people think you know.
Brother Boaz took pictures of my Bible.
Shout out to the brother Boaz. Love you, Boaz. Boaz, my brother, man. For real, for real. My brother from another mother. All right. Let me get to this next part. We're going to go to an hour. Let's hear Tico. Big Karatazar.
If they reached out to raising the dues, is that the only reason why they left?
Hold on. Before we get to that. Wait.
This brother Chico, I just gotta ask, I was talking to brother
So Tico, who's in North Carolina, who's around Yakamya and Judah, who I told you about earlier, right? He tells him straight up, yo, I asked them what happened because they told me they left already. And Tico's smart, right? Tico a young brother, but he's smart the way he asked his question. And if I'm not mistaken, just possibly, he knows what's going on because brothers is on the call listening and stuff, right? So he asking a very good question that brothers wanted him to ask. This particular question, right? Kadar's questions was his own. Yawasop's questions afterwards were going to be his own. And the way that Tico worded this was his own. But the context of the question, right? He's asking, was the dudes thing the only reason we left? Because remember, I told you it's not the reason we left. the dudes thing was something they was mad about, but the real thing that you vetoed was something else. And then there was this camp camera situation. So you're gonna be honest and tell them about any of those things? That's what Tico's asking, subliminally, right?
You gotta ask them if that's what they told you.
Joel doesn't give an answer. He pauses for a second and then says you have to ask them if that's what they told you. So this is the first time in this recording that brothers are given permission to come and ask us questions, right? As it goes on, they're going to actually tell them, yo, go ask them brothers and they'll tell you, right? Whatever them brothers told you, go clarify. Whatever you heard, go ask them brothers. So brothers start asking us based off what they hear on this call, the questions that brothers are asking. They start asking us to clarify things based off what Tico, Kadar Aharon, and Yawasop are asking, right? So we did.
That's what they told you. Brothers already gave the direction. Brothers need to go directly to each other. But nobody came to me. I'll read something for you.
We did come to him. But once again, he told them to come to us. You heard it again.
This is Jonathan, right? Jonathan.
So brothers saying we backbite, we tell bear, right? We just telling information and telling brothers what Joel did in the camp call conversation, right? Because Corelli Hebrew accused me of that. And as you see, brother, I didn't do that. He did it. He didn't tell you that part because niggas usually don't tell the truth when they give their side of the story when they're like him. But I told you this because I knew it was recorded. You didn't ask extra questions to find out the truth. You just picked the side, right? Keep your judgment fair and impartial.
What's up? I mean, Adawan, you sure you want to do that? Like, I mean, I think you answered the brother properly. I mean, I think that Jaquan that mentioned it earlier, man. You know that I think it was Jaquan when he said, reach out to those brothers. One of the captains said, reach out.
You see, reach out to those brothers. Hit them up, man. Y'all got questions about why they left? Ask them. So now they're telling them they're not going to tell them why we left, right? Ask us. So brothers asked us, right? We're going to get into it in a second, right? Ask us why we left. So let's fast forward a little bit. Let me see. Hold on.
Out to those brothers and added them. You know what I'm saying? If they reached out to brothers that they have a home with, okay?
We did. They know that already. He already know that. He was on the call when we reached out. He was on the call when we scheduled a call to reach out. That's what the Yakum Yan Judah call was. He was the one that gave the suggestion that made us even have a call that caused brothers to have to reach out. It was all his idea, as you saw via the text messages. So even the captains don't even be completely telling the truth and stuff. It ain't just the elder. Birds of a feather flock together.
You say that again, King? I said that never happened. Yeah,
that's a lie. They both just lie.
That's what I'm trying to tell the brother Tico. Hey, brother, you've been giving guidance. You know what I mean?
All right. So the video about to break up a little bit there. Let's move it.
On another topic.
Now Kadar's back. Kadar Haram.
Camera, get stolen, we'll be able to raise money because I'm and the finances, the resources, and everything to get us a legitimate camp camera. People were not able to raise enough money for it. Well, we found that using the iPhone created some pretty beautiful footage.
We found that. Nigga, who is we? It wasn't me and Kano and Yonatan and Judah and Yakumyah and the Aharon, you know, Shaquat, Yahawada. We ain't do none of that. We paid money for a camp camera. We saw you put that video up that we saw earlier where you advertised and asked the people to donate money for a camp camera. We put out a decree to all the soldiers to donate a minimum of $30 for a camp camera. Y'all saw the brother whose PayPal I showed you sent in $100 by himself for the camp camera. They told you we got 54 niggas in the camp. If 54 brothers send in $30, right? Oh, let's say 53, because one sent in 100. So we got $100 plus 53, right? $100. $100 times 53 times 30. 53 people times $30 is $1,690. That's more than enough to buy the camera that we lost, right? If only half the brothers send that money, the $100 plus, let's say 30 brothers times $30, that gives us $1,000, right? I know at least that much brothers sent in money, right? Plus, you got the people on the YouTube that we know sent in money. We got donations that you will see pop up super chat on that video. Cashapp sent in on that video. So we know we got more than enough money for the camera, contrary to what brothers are going to tell you, right?
But it was inconvenient. The camp camera was much more convenient.
And to stress again, he said we decided that, you know, things were just better with a camp camera, with the iPhone. I don't even have an iPhone. I don't like iPhone. I got an Android, right? I'm a Note dude. the Ultra. I'm an Ultra guy, right? So like Ultra male. You feel? So like this is like, why would we agree with that? Who is we? He's even letting you know he made a decision by himself, right? And that's what happened. You feel me? He made that decision on his own to not use the camp fund money for what the camp fund money was for regarding the camp camera. He decided to use it for tabernacles, to make tabernacles better. But it wasn't better for the brothers in North Carolina because they didn't get their money for tabernacles that they were supposed to get. So you only made tabernacles better for you, but you got money from the whole camp for the camp camera and didn't make tabernacles better for the brothers in North Carolina or the brothers in San Francisco. Ain't that a little selfish? But we got bad team building skills and money management.
Capacity and lasted longer. I thought the brothers in North Carolina might get the camera we want for them back, but I'm definitely not about to have that conversation. That's the kind of shit I don't do. I'm not doing that. I'll take that L before I ask somebody to have that responsibility in their mind. But if you have a brother that wants to give a camera, because we spent most of that money on Tabernacle, I was like, you know what, we should save that for the camp so that we can keep the camp fund at a certain level, and we'll just rough it and let the other brothers enjoy it. We'll rough it. But if you have a brother that wants to give a camera to the camp, that'd be great. That'd be wonderful. So lucky. I'm really not trying to cause attention, but just from what I was told that from Adonai Judah that he was supposed to be sending the camera
He said from Ottawa and Judah, he was supposed to be sending the camera back. Tico worded it like that because me, Judah, Jonathan, Yakubia know that he ordered him to send the camera back. You feel? He tried to make the brother send the camera back. Right? So watch how Joel's going to respond. Because he just said, I am not going to have this conversation right now.
Depends on what I'm saying. You was told that he was supposed to be sending it back?
You was told that he was supposed to be sending it back? Like, damn, how much did these niggas tell you?
Well, he is sending it back.
He is sending it back.
No problem solved.
Oh, okay. Problem solved. Bada bing, bada boom.
What's next? Like, well, questions I do have, I do have some. I'm gonna take. Yeah, 'cause I want to make sure some brothers that I don't see. Hey, go ahead. Oh, yeah, I think somebody might get the question. That's what I'm trying to do. This was y'all's top. So
So this is Yawasop. Yawasop is going to ask some pretty good questions, right? Yawasop's a smart brother. He's a captain in our camp. First captain that we had become captain in our camp. And he going to ask some questions because he's been listening, right? He's listening intently now. He heard some things about this camp camera that a brother that's, cognizant of his money and where it's going is going to hear based off the things that Joel was saying, right? I guess some of the other brothers that's in SOT didn't hear this shit, but the brothers that left definitely heard up to this part very intently. So when y'all start asking certain questions, these are questions other brothers wanted to ask because, mind you, I'm in front of two of those brothers at the time of this call. I'm talking to DTA Nadab and I'm talking to Karatas, to Hezekiah Kazak, right? We're talking about this. We're listening to the call. And they're telling me, yo, like, that's crazy. What you just said about that? We're having a conversation. I'm getting real-time answers on how real soldiers in this camp are really thinking about the stuff that's coming out of their elders' mouth, right? So I'm hearing it.
Brothers come to us and ask us to raise money for a specific thing, and we don't get to whatever thing that it is that we're supposed to. Shouldn't we know about that?
Y'all stop saying if brothers come to us and ask us to give money for a specific thing, like the camp camera, and it don't get bought, shouldn't we know about that? Radio silence, moving around. Okay, suspense.
What's that question entitled to? What's that aim towards?
Yo, what that question about? What's that aim towards? So now everybody with a brain sees, oh, so he ain't even gonna be straight up with us. He ain't gonna be straightforward and just answer the nigga question, the brother's question. Really?
You tell me. I just told you we saved that.
Y'all saw what you talking about, bro? Y'all saw from Chicago. That's all I'm gonna say.
And use the money to make tabernacles better. He just said shit. We got more overhead for tabernacles, brothers donation.
Yeah, niggas say, what you talking about? What you mean? From Chicago? Bruh. What you talking about?
The fees was high. We could just keep that money in the camp and we'll rough it for now. We still
We'll just keep that money in the camp and we'll rough it for now. Who is we? Who made that decision? It wasn't me and Kano or you. We didn't decide to do that. You ain't let us rough it to camp. You ain't even get my damn window fixed, nigga. What? They definitely roughed it at Tabernacles, though, for sure.
want to get the camp camera because we never envisioned that brothers would leave. But if brothers don't...
We never envisioned that brothers would leave. But we brothers that left didn't envision it either. But until brothers had a dream, and then until brothers seen before the dream, like me and Kano, that, yo, if this thing don't go right on the 11th of December, then we just gonna separate from this crap. But we gonna have dedication first. And then Jonathan left before we could put our message in. We was trying to wait till dedication before me and Kano left. We was gonna leave. We seen what was going on. He had like the camp fund his, check my pockets, this, that, and the third. All right, it's your camp now. You trying to kick everybody out. You want it to be just yours. Cool. You can have it. We're gonna do our own thing. Right? And we were gonna wait till dedication was over with. Probably even make an announcement at dedication. He just didn't allow that to happen.
And say, well, I'm only donating to help with the camera, and if we don't get it, I want my donation back. Just say that. I don't feel like that. What I'm asking is brothers come ask something. They ask for something direct. If we donate for that thing direct, I feel like we should know that we're not getting it versus us coming saying that if we're not getting it, this is definitely for the camera. If you don't get the camera, give me my money back. Like that's kind of unreasonable.
You see that? Y'all saw being reasonable. He's saying, yo, like, I donate the money. I wanted the camp to have the money. So I'm asking a question, like, don't you think that we should know what's going on with the money if you ask us for something directly, right? Like, to not answer my question and to say, yo, you just want your money back, I think that's unreasonable, which I agree with.
So what you saying? I'm asking.
And then the typical New Jersey response, so what you saying? So what you mean? I just said it, nigga. What you talking about? You can't hear now?
I'm just saying, if brothers ask.
And now y'all will stop having to repeat himself. I'm just saying what I said. Let me say it again.
It's for something, it's a particular reason, and we don't get the
Sorry for the noise, but it said if brothers is donating money for a particular reason, and you decide to change up what the money gonna be used for, don't they deserve to know?
I would say this because a camera, I think brothers are missing the point.
This is Yaquab, okay? What needs to be understood is that this lie wasn't just made by Joel. Joel had a helpline by captains, the first of which was Yaquab, right? Yaquab's a good brother, smart, intelligent brother, got good leadership qualities. But as somebody who was a leader over him, I can say this. He's too much of a follower, right? And in this situation, he followed Joel into the lies of oblivion. He followed him off the cliff, right? Into the smoking gas chamber. So it's like he lied about the camp camera being bought, right? Because of what was said by Yahweh all earlier. Okay?
A camera was bought. That's what I'm trying to get them to say. It's okay. It's okay.
Now Joel is backing up the lie that Yaquab has made.
Okay.
Brothers will say they misspoke, but no, this is a lie. A camp camera was not bought with the money that brothers were donating that they're asking about. Why the camp camera wasn't bought with this money?
We roughed it in Atlanta so other brothers have a better circumstance. Like they missing that part. I don't know. They missing that part. Like, go ahead.
Y'all missing that part.
Like
but it didn't happen. That's why they missing that part. They missing that part, Yaquab, because it never happened, bro. You lied.
Spent money to buy them a camera. That thing was $750. Our camera was something I bought back in 2008. That was the
He said he bought them a camera for $750.
Camera we was using. And then Elijah donated a camera. And that's the camera we was using. Then that got stolen.
So he said he bought San Francisco a camera for $750. The camera we had in Atlanta we got for free.
And brothers need another camera. We still need it.
The free camera got stolen and our brothers need another camera. We still need it. Mind you, he told you we decided to not buy the camera and use it for tabernacles, but the we was him because we didn't have no say in that decision, right? Which is why we left.
But there's other more pressing financial situations, and rather than liquidate the funds and place the camp in a position where we can't help brothers.
So he said there's other more pressing situations, right? The brother that was locked up is out of jail because he's on the call, so that's not pressing. We ain't got no school, so it's not like we got rent or bills or utilities we got to pay, so that's not pressing. We have enough money for a regular feast day, so dedication wasn't in jeopardy. So like, I don't know what could be pressing unless it's personal stuff you need the money for. Just saying, allegedly, possibly could have been, right?
If they need it, because we just splurged, because these cameras cost like around $1,000. A 4K HD camcorder, around $800.
He bought one for the North Carolina camp for $750, but the camera cost about $1,000,
So
maybe $800.
only handy cam, that's what we had, with memory cards and an extra battery. So we just chose to rough it, and we'll get the camera later when the camp funds is more comfortable. That doesn't require you to do anything else. Your donation is already in the pot. We could buy a camera now, but then that might make it where if a brother comes to us and say you need some help, you might have to turn them away because the funds ain't where they supposed to be. So brothers made the decision like, nah, we'll rough it for now, and we'll do that
I don't know who the brothers is, once again.
later. That's just the decision that was made.
Unless he's talking about him and Chris. But Chris wasn't an elder, so Chris shouldn't have been making that decision with Joel. Him and Yaquab shouldn't have been making that decision. Yaquab's not an elder, and Yaquab clearly don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Hey, but if brothers feel like, yo, if we don't get the camera, we need to know about it. That would be like, as soon as you sent the money, was I supposed to go buy it? Right? Me personally, I asked for donation. I said, yo, if you want to help, send up something so we can replace these items. But I do know brothers put out a decree from the captains like, yo, we need a new camera. We need brothers to raise up some bread for it. I counted the donation like 400 and change.
He's saying they only got $400 in donations, and one brother sent in $100. So he's saying they only got $300 after that from brothers in the camp.
All came in, but it could have been more.
Oh wait, no, it could have been more. It could have been more.
I'm only going by what brothers put in the Cashapp and they title it with a note for a camera.
I'm only going by what I can see for a camera, right? It could have been a bunch of other money, but if it didn't say for a camera, I'm just not going to use it for that. I guess, maybe, allegedly, total possibly. I don't know.
So it could have been more because brothers might have donated with intention to give to the camera. But
if it could have been more, do it matter what the donations was for the camera? Shouldn't it just be if you're using the camp fund and you're managing the money and people are donating for the camp fund, for the camera, when you got enough money for the camera, shouldn't you just buy the camera? I don't know. That's what I thought.
They didn't put a note and title it, but that still ain't enough to replace the camera we lost.
So, all right. Cool. Let's get this last part before we close this thing out.
We just decided as money is a righteous need. We just decided.
Hold on, my bad.
We just decided as the Atlantic camera was purchased, we as the Atlantic camp who did get.
So now this is Chris lying, helping them lie, right?
Our camera stolen. Just decided to put ourselves on the back burner of the situation, but a camera was purchased just for the North Carolina branch, and that.
So you see the elder and two of his prize soldiers, right? They jump on and lie with him. Repeat, regurgitate, and confess the lie that he's been saying.
Camera is being sent back from what we just heard from the brother Tigo.
So that was the lie. And brothers hit us up, right, to clarify what happened, to try to figure out what was going on, because they told them to. You feel me? And I got so many calls that day, I posted on social media, right? Posted this. This was on my story. ATL camera was stolen in July. July'd to them all. NC camera receipt. This is Judah. Right, his fingers. He's showing me what it is. Greensboro, North Carolina, 5/13/2022. July is when the camera was stolen. Last I checked, the number 5 when it comes to months on the Gregorian calendar, American calendar, is May, not July. So this was actually bought 2 months before anybody sent in any money for the camp camera in Atlanta, which means the fact the camp camera in Atlanta wasn't bought had nothing to do with this camera. It also means that us giving you back our camera had nothing to do with you wanting our camera back. because you didn't spend the money that you were supposed to spend on a camera. Feel me? He said that they only got $400 in donations. Well, the camera we bought was only $600, right? Its actual price is $949. But I told you with the money that should have been sent in, based off of what I calculated, right? We had that money to buy the camera full price. Okay? So I said, don't ask me no questions. My name Bennett. I ain't in it. So that is to show you guys, right? That he lied. They asked us the question about him lying because they told them to ask, and we gave them the truth, right? So that was the actual reason why our brothers left the camp. Had nothing to do with anything I said or anything I alleged. Okay? Now, last thing we're going to go over, because there was one last rumor or thing that we have to dispel. The brother relationship with Shania ended, right? And as you saw in that message with the brother that I showed you earlier at the beginning, right? It said something about their brother trying to get at Shania and stuff like that, and us having to handle that situation. So it was said in the midst of that, in the conversation I had with Gorilla, that it had been said to him that we used Shania against him, or turned Shania against Joel, and because of that, the brother Gorilla was trying to accuse us of adultery, right? And because of that, Joel did the same thing, right? The same precepts they used for the situation that happened with Ariella and Hassad when it came to them talking to Gorilla's wife, right? They used that on me first and said that I had something to do with Shania leaving. And then once it wasn't proven that I had anything to do, they tried to blame it on Judah. So we have some messages here to prove that we didn't have anything to do with her decision to leave Joel, right? And that will be the end of the video. So this is not to, put any personal business out there, but it's to clear our name, because a good name is better than riches. This is just an open rebuke. We have to do it openly because brothers spoke about us openly or started, public rumors about us, which we had to correct, that some brothers still judged us for, pulled their camps away for, and all type of different stuff, right? So did you reach out to Rich? This is Joel in the gray, her in the blue. He said, I gave her my number, told him if Ming wanted to talk, she could. Unwise. Again, you are not yielding to me. You are doing your own thing, which I need you to stop. This is not your fault. This is mine. Make that clear. This is not your fault. This is mine. You are not wrong or Ming. I am. I am unfit to be a leader of this camp. Damn. Because of what I've done in this situation. Mind you, at the time, he's not leader of the camp. He's a leader of the camp. This just shows the mindset of the brother. He always thought he was the sole nigga, right? We're still here when this message is sent. Because of what I've done in this situation. You are not to message Rich. If anything, you should speak to his wife. She expressed that, right? Moving on. What else? Joel, I'm standing on 10 toes on what I've said. I have no issue doing what's required of me as a wife, but I absolutely refuse to deal with the foolishness associated with this. That's the bottom line, right? Look, you can say all that, but you can't be nice. I'm tired of being jealous of Judah. Look, whatever you want. Damn, I'm tired of being jealous of Judah. Look, whatever you want. Just be nice to me the same way, right? Nothing I do is good enough. So I don't want to try anymore, right? Jealous of Judah. When has he done anything but try to help me understand polygyny and encourage me to see this through? Judah has been a brother to me and has only ever helped me to see the best in this situation, with the minimal information he knows, because he knows this is different for me, and he understands that situation I came from before you. Mind you, Judah and Shania are literally like brother and sister, right? Judah knows Shania before Joel does, right? Judah knows the man that Shania was with before Joel, right? So he literally knows the whole situation. As the text message says, the brother is accusing Judah of doing stuff, talking about he's jealous of Judah, while in the same heartbeat asking Judah to tell him stuff about the wife. Like, it's crazy, right? So much so to the point that it escalates, right? The jealousy gets worse because he's asking Judah to do things for him in regards to the wife, right? Keep tabs with her because they live in 2 different states and all that stuff, right? So look, that's something someone coached you to say. Judah poisoned you against me. I'll effing kill him. I'll effing kill him.
I'll effing kill him.
Yo, WTF, don't ever say no out-ish like that. That man would never go against you. That man loves you. He admires you and only respects you. Who is doing this? I can figure this out. I can make you happy and do it right. I can. I can do it and have you, Salakia. I don't have to lose you. This is not happening. Just let me think, Shania. Give me a minute, right? Okay, last one. Because after that was said, apparently somehow I get involved in it, and it starts to be said that Eliel is turning the sister against me, right? Eliel didn't have to do nothing. I only had one conversation with him my whole life, right? And it was through text, and I sent the text to y'all all, right? So the question was, did Eliel poison you against y'all all, or did me or any brother from AHOS? The sister says no. Joel did that single-handedly. All right? So this is why I left the camp. All right, now you have it. It's in the airways. Hopefully, brothers will get right. You know what I'm saying? Just make their apology. Hopefully, we don't have to escalate this more than it already has been escalated. And brothers will just let it go. Let us live our lives. Let us be the camp that we're trying to be. And y'all go be great doing your own thing. Right? If brothers want to call and apologize, they can. My line's open. If not, that's cool too. I don't give a damn at this point. Right? Once again, I only spoke because brothers keep talking about us, and I felt it was fair to go ahead and get my side of the story out before Passover. So, hope y'all enjoy it. I don't know when you're going to see this, but hope you enjoy your Passover, right? And, yeah, catch y'all next time, man. Like, share, subscribe, and shalom. Brother, all you all, dearest Christ.
This is not a test.
Black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce.